welcome to the 88th Academy Awards in my house. And it's not the Academy Awards, it is the invasion of the retrospective of the Academy Awards, where we're just going to talk Oscar shit and nonsense, because we are the most uninformed people to actually tackle this topic, and that's the way it should be, because that's the way most of the audiences watching the Oscars will be as well. I think this is the most uninformed I've ever been going into an Oscars.
Yes.
I've usually tried to make it a point to watch as many of those films prior to the ceremony to know what I'm going into.
Yes.
But I'm kind of reverting back to my younger years where I use the Oscars to gauge films I should be looking at that maybe I haven't, and see little clips and performances and watch them after the fact. So going into this podcast, I really mostly watch trailers. And not even a lot of those. I do have a secret to voting, and we're going to get to some of our picks this year. Mm-hmm. Jeff McNair, everybody.
Yeah, so I'm completely disarmed. I thought that we were talking about the 1991 mobster musical Oscar starring Sylvester Stallone, so I am grossly underprepared.
We are going to do that. I want to do that. I love that movie.
Nice.
Because believe it or not,
everybody singing?
It is actually a remake. So
is it really?
It really is. Oh. I know, right? So, like, I'm super stoked to do that movie. And if Stallone wins this weekend, although for us this is about a month away, or 3-4 weeks away anyway, but
we could still conceivably watch these movies before the Academy Awards.
when you're listening to this, the Oscars are this coming weekend. So, Trish Coughlin, everybody.
Oh, thank you, everybody. Just at the top, I want to thank my parents and my producer.
You didn't win. You've won nothing.
I didn't win Best Person on this podcast.
I was nominated for Best Haircut.
Yes.
and
I was nominated for Most Angry Rant.
And best impression of Christopher Walken goes to
Jeff McCann.
What was
We're both nominated.
I forget the guest we had now because I'm a jerk. But
Tony Benz.
Tony Benz.
Tony
Christopher Walken on the podcast goes to Tony Benz.
Tony Benz, yay!
That's where the little picture-in-picture of me like flipping a table.
Tony couldn't be here tonight, so I'm accepting it on his behalf.
Accepting the award for
But
Tony
unfortunately, she was interrupted by Kanye West.
Yeah.
Yeah, why? What is he doing here? Who invited him?
What makes you think you know better than 6,000 people voting?
Right now. I don't know. I in some previous years, I'm like, I'm pretty sure I know a lot more than the 6,000 people voting.
Yeah. I used to host a bunch of Oscar parties until people got lives and just stopped caring about the only award ceremony I watch in a year. Outside of the VGAs. I watch the video game awards as well. That just informs me of which video games I should be buying and playing.
Best polygon count in a polar bear character goes to.
See, but yeah, that comes to it. Like, some of the best parts of like some of these movies, like they have the technical awards, like the day before the Academy Awards.
Oh, burn.
And these are people who do things.
Yeah,
I hate to say it.
The awards for people who actually do stuff that you will mention casually in a clip, because we don't want to acknowledge the people who actually do things. We're going to acknowledge the people who pretend.
Yeah, the people who are pretty enough to pretend. Not just pretend, they have to be pretty enough to pretend.
Yeah.
Most outstanding grip award.
Yes.
As somebody who's been a grip and everything else, I'm like, those people count, damn it.
Yeah.
It's the Academy Awards for arts and sciences, and the sciences part get really shafted a lot.
I know.
The award for best boy.
Best boy.
Yeah. There's always some like really fantastic, like random bullshit job titles. Like, I'm the kind of guy who's always sat through credits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it'd be like, holy shit, it's like the Hog Wrangler from this other movie or whatever, right? Hog Wrangler is something I made up for the movie The Watchmen.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I don't know if we've covered this on the podcast before, but like, you remember Dr. Manhattan, the blue guy who like walks around without his pants the whole time, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
So the only character besides Rorschach to get as much screen time was Dr. Manhattan's penis. And there was a scene where Dr. Manhattan is, of course, flagging down a stairwell with maybe Silk Spectre or some such thing. But anyway, the camera, you can't look away. Like, the camera draws your attention to his junk,
penis.
right? And my wife said that she thought... So she's like, so Dr. Manhattan can look like anything he wants.
I know.
And I was
thought
like,
about
yeah.
this too.
And she's like, wow, he has a very positive self-image.
Yeah, I figured his penis didn't look like that before he became Dr. Manhattan.
Yeah, probably not.
I'm 1,000% sure.
But there was this moment where he's walking down the stairs naked, and his junk moved, as it would if you were walking down the stairs.
Yeah, it's gonna flop against
exactly
the thigh.
right. But
the
it's
CG guy.
It was very realistic. So there was one guy
who had to figure out.
It's like, yeah, I finally get to work on Watchmen, my lifelong dream. I love the comic book, and then it's like, okay. So you're going to be the guy who animates Dr. Manhattan's penis. So I decided that guy's position was Hog Wrangler.
Nice.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, because that's, to be fair,
It was amazing. I was like, wow, a lot of work went into his junk. A lot of work.
Yeah.
Because the rest they just
Actually,
ripped off.
I'd like to know what
Not
that
just that.
acceptance speech sounds
He
like.
could be anything, like you're saying, he can make him, he could rearrange himself, any way,
Yeah.
fuck, man, the possibilities. He's like a human sex toy. I don't know what Silk Spectre must be just wrecked out there.
He could have been covered in penises. Yeah. He moved to Japan and became a robot.
But not the first Hog Wrangler. I think that was probably during...
Boogie Nights.
No, well, even before that, there was a
someone had to
streaker
glue
at
that
the
on.
Oscars during Niven's...
Yeah, 1974. The year I was
Yeah.
born, there was a streaker at the Academy Awards. Thank you, everybody.
Really?
Yeah.
Was it an actor?
No, just some guy.
And Niven just rolled with it.
Yeah,
That's the consummate
Like
professional.
David Niven from your bedtime stories?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Yeah.
I think he says something about compensating for something, or he's going, somebody's not winning the Oscar this year or something.
And it wasn't just John Belushi all coked out because it was the 70s, or was he dead by then? 79?
No, it was 74, but it was
don't
just
know.
some
Yeah.
hippie who, some long-haired guy.
Yeah.
Damn long hairs.
Some
Yeah.
guy with a porn stash.
Yeah, it's not. It wasn't.
Sweet.
It wasn't the same.
I'd
but
like
yeah.
to thank John Holmes
Yeah.
for inspiration.
Yeah, the most penis at the Academy Awards goes to.
Hey, how you doing?
Oh, but yeah, the credits. You're credits are wonky. What was it? Who did you say was BB-8 consultant?
Oh, David Hayter.
Bill Hader.
Bill Hader,
Bill Hader was BB-8
vocal consultant.
vocal consultant. He's bleeps and bloops.
Yeah.
I think they just made up stuff for anybody JJ likes.
True. Yeah.
Because Kevin Smith got to do voice of a stormtrooper.
Yeah, and
He recorded a bunch of stuff, and
but
they
Simon
just
Pegg was
figured out where to use
Simon
them.
Pegg was the alien guy.
Alien-
He actually
evil guy.
did all the in the suit stuff, and Daniel Craig was a stormtrooper in a very memorable
that was
scene,
funny.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's in. I don't know. It's funny. I always watch
Most hidden pointless cameos in a film goes to...
Ew. Star Wars.
The Force Awakens. I always watch the credits, but I've never followed or watched the Oscars ever. But I have an interest in who actually crafts the movie. And there's been a few times in my film watching, career, I'm going to say, because I don't have a life.
You have a
But
life.
it involves watching a lot of movies. But there's only been a handful of times where I watched a movie and I was like, this person needs recognition for this because it's just so good. And the one that comes to mind actually, and it lost to fucking Sean Penn. Fuck that guy.
Yes.
In Mystic
Was
River.
that 2004?
It was Mystic River. Won Best Actor Sean Penn. So the performance that I watch a lot of movies, and this was the performance I watched, and at the end of the movie, I was blown away. I was like, this guy deserves an Oscar. He probably already deserves an Oscar because he's a big actor, but it was Ben Kingsley in The House of Sand and Fog. Mm-hmm. It was just phenomenal. I'd never seen a more, realistic human performance in any movie ever. And he lost to fucking Sean Penn.
I know.
Fuck that guy.
Yeah, I remember... God, I'm trying to remember. Was that 2004 or not? I remember watching that one, and I really liked Mystic River, but I was with you. I didn't think that...
I liked it as well, but I felt that Tim Robbins was a far better character in Mystic River than Sean Penn. Sean Penn was completely one-dimensional.
Yeah, actually, out of that year, it was Sean Penn for Mystic River, Jude Law for Cold Mountain, Ben Kingsley for A House of Sand and Fog, Bill Murray for Lost in Translation, and Johnny Depp for Pirates, whatever, Black Pearl. And out of the movies I'd seen that year, I was really rooting for Bill Murray on that one because Lost in Translation was incredible.
Lost in Translation to me is the kind of movie you make to get an Oscar.
I think too. Yeah, I think there's some sort of misunderstanding.
That's a good.
I think that's a Sean Penn thing. He got surrounded by pretension, and people got lost.
Maybe. And House of Sand and
How
Fog
often
is
do you think that happens, where a movie's is coined, let's coin the term, well, it's probably been coined, Oscar bait. And you always see these Oscar bait movies near the end of the year. Studios sometimes put up as much as $7 million promoting to Academy members, which to vote for these films, which is interesting in of itself that maybe that shouldn't be going on. But you start thinking, $7 million? Did they spend $7 million on that movie? Did it make $7 million? Because half the time we haven't heard of a lot of these movies until the Oscars roll. And for me, it's kind of revealing that, maybe I should be taking a look at it. And I look at this year's Oscars and I'm like, well, there's actually quite a few that are political statements of some sort or another, and I'm like, yeah, that looks like Oscar bait.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying for sure. What I find fascinating about that concept is that, like, they know how to advertise to Academy members. Like, I don't know who these people are. Like, I don't know anything about the Oscars because I'm really prepared for this episode. But, like, I don't understand who the Academy people are, the people who nominate or vote or whatever. Like, to me, it's like the stonecutters or the Illuminati, and when they're done putting, like, mind control nanites in the fluoride for our tap water, they're also picking how not to give Leonardo DiCaprio an Oscar. Like, I don't even understand who these people are.
You're not too far off. The Academy is the Academy of Arts and Sciences, and it is mainly composed of a bunch of guilds in the entertainment industry. There's the Actors Guild, the Writers Guild, the Directors Guilds, the Technicians Guilds, and its members, senior members, form this academy body. I have known people who are on the academy. I won't name them because, there's probably rules against that sort of thing. And it's about 6,000 to 7,000 people.
Oh, is it really that many?
It's a lot. 22% of which are the actors, because let's face it, they're probably the largest group anyway, outside of the technicians side of things, who get screwed. I mean, really, when it comes down to major awards on the technical side of things, it's director and cinematographer.
Pretty much.
The editors, well, I guess there's actually quite a few technical awards.
Visual effects is the only one that's starting to break through.
You never hear about the grip guy or the lighting guy, the best boy. You never hear about those guys. But editors and cinematographers and sound editors and that sort of thing, we do hear about them. Or
the engineering team that came up with this cutting-edge way to photograph something.
And that happens usually in the other ceremony where there's some big technical achievement in film, advancement of the film technology, and that is a real thing. And again, they usually do it in a throwaway cutaway scene at the ceremonies because they don't film them there. But let's face it, that thing's a monster of a show to begin with. The thing started in 1929 as a small dinner that lasted about half an hour, less than half an hour, and with about 250 guests.
During the silent era, they probably didn't have a lot to say, right?
Yeah, no.
Yeah, it's sort of like somebody plinking on in the corner, and then somebody holding up like a card.
Yeah.
Oh, best actress.
Yeah, the first
most successful frantic facial expression while a building falls on them goes to Buster Keaton.
Best railroad track scene.
Charlie Chaplin and throws his cane. And...
Best railroad track scene.
Yeah.
The first Best Picture Oscar went to a movie called Wings. Yeah.
How did I know that? I don't know anything.
I think we somewhat.
I didn't even
that was always been in the
that.
back of my mind. I don't know why.
You know what? I haven't.
But interesting enough, they had a separate one called Best Unique and Artistic Picture, which I would call the pretentious award, which I guess has been done away with, and that was Sunrise.
They just make that Best Picture now.
Yeah, there were 2 Best Actors out of 4 nominees. So they obviously couldn't make a decision. Worse was the Best Actress nominations. There were 5 nominees and 3 winners for 1929.
You're all fantastic.
Yeah. And then they
Yeah.
had Best Director for Comedy and
Who
Drama,
won Best Actor?
etc. So, you want to know who won Best Actor?
Yeah, first best actor.
First Best Actor was Emil Jannings for The Last Command, and Emil Jannings again for The Way of All Flesh, because they made a shit ton of movies really quickly back
So
then.
maybe they
Yeah.
probably
So-
thought at that point, no, we're voting on like the best actor
for
this
sheer
year
quantity
overall.
of movies, it's
Like he
Emil
did the
Jannings.
best stuff this year.
So he got 2 Oscars, and actually that
Which maybe that should be how they should do it.
And that's exactly what happened with the Best Actress. Now that I'm looking at this, it was all Janet Gaynor, but it was for Sunrise, Street Angel, and Seventh Heaven. And
But when you think
I disagree.
about it-
should be for single performances,
Yeah.
not sheer volume of
See,
performances.
but I'm not even looking
If
at
anything,
sheer
Ben Foster would have
volume.
won an award in the mid 2000s. Every single superhero movie ever made.
I don't think it should be like that's the thing. I kind of like that it's not sheer volume of performances. Maybe it should be like, okay, they've got the most consistently good performances throughout the year because you'll have somebody who'll come
Yeah.
out.
Yeah, the big
Oh, this
guys
is a
only
really
do
good
one or
one,
two, though.
and they'll do. Yeah,
these
I don't
these
care.
days, yeah, it's,
You don't get a lot of volume as far as like.
I don't. Yeah, but
multiple.
quite frankly, I need something better than one good volume performance.
yeah.
They
yeah.
keep. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of Al Pacino yelling. No.
Now, the first televised award was 1953, and I'm just.
So
getting
that
to my
was like
notes.
15
the
years
first
later.
host was Billy Crystal's fetus.
25 years later.
I don't know who hosted that one. I'm sorry. The best picture for that was The Greatest Show by Cecil B. DeMille.
Oh yeah.
So, and best actor was Gary Cooper, and supporting actor Anthony Quinn. So these are some big names. Best actress Shirley Booth, and best supporting actress Gloria Graham. Best director went to John Ford for The Quiet Man.
John Ford.
Yeah,
Nice.
John Ford. So,
The man who ruined the American Indian. But I still love his movies. So
yeah,
Sweeping.
well, and that
Sweeping
was
is a
it.
word I would
Was it
use.
1973 when Godfather?
Marlon Brando.
Marlon Brando won and
sent-
refused his award and sent an American Indian up with a 15-page diatribe about
And they
why.
told her if she spoke, she'd be arrested, but she went up and did a little speech
Yeah.
anyway. There's a documentary
I remember,
on
yeah.
Netflix right now called Real Engine, and they touch on that. But at the time, there was a massive civil rights standoff at this building, which name escapes me, but it was all
Wounded Knee, I think.
Wounded Knee, yeah, it was all in relation to that.
Okay.
There was like an actual like violent like automatic weapons with
Yeah.
the FBI standoff.
There was something
for Native
happening
rights,
at
right?
that point.
And now political stuff is always leaks its way into speeches and things like that. Actually, I want to play a clip of Michael Moore winning Best Documentary for Bowling for Columbine. Now, I've kind of clipped him going to the stage, and him going up to the stage was a standing ovation and rounding applause for this, which I consider a great
That's a good
documentary. It
documentary.
certainly deserved it. And then this happened.
On behalf of our producers, Kathleen Glynn and Michael Donovan from Canada, I'd like to thank the Academy for this. I've invited my fellow documentary nominees on the stage with us. And we would like to, they are here in solidarity with me because we like nonfiction. We like nonfiction and we live in fictitious times. We live in a time where we have fictitious election results that elects a fictitious president. Sending us to war for fictitious reasons, whether it's the fictition of duct tape or the fictitious of orange alerts. We are against this war, Mr. Bush. Mr. Bush.
Now,
Pretty harsh words.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
anytime you speak up against a president when it's still uncool to do so, that changed as the years rolled on with George W. But at the time, it was definitely a no-no to be speaking against your president in the United States. And he gets played off by the band,
it's a
which
no-no
happens
unless
a lot.
the president's
but...
black.
Ew.
Then it's fine because it's all his fault.
Oh, that's another controversy for this year's Oscars.
Thanks, Obama.
Yeah. But
Yeah, that should be thanks Bush.
I remember
all the time,
watching
guys.
that award ceremony and going, damn. Now, do you think that's an appropriate platform for those kind of statements? Or, take the opportunity? I have no
Honestly,
problem with it.
No.
But
It has a
It's the
massive
one- it's the one
viewership,
time.
so if you want to speak to the
Yeah.
masses, then that was your platform.
we
Exactly.
haven't seen him there since.
Yeah, but I mean, what's funny though is like Bowling for Columbine. What year was that?
I think that was 2004.
2004. Wow. Remember when there used to be like a lot of school shootings, and that's just so stopped right now, right?
Yeah, because
there are
that's
still a
not a thing anymore. Yeah, if anything, it's happening far more often.
It's
Way
much
more
more
often.
frequently.
And it's to the point where we're now desensitized to it and just not hearing. It's just
We're not
another
hearing
thing.
about all of them.
Yeah, you
They
get
were once
a week
a month
of
in
Kim.
the US.
Yeah, a week of Kim Kardashian's ass, but oh look, another shooting.
We had a school shooting in
Crazy.
Saskatchewan, La
a
Loche.
few weeks ago.
Yeah, and they're just not talked about anymore because it's become commonplace, and that shouldn't be. Like, we shouldn't be used to
No.
that sort of thing.
No. Well, it's this ridiculous idea too. It's like the concept is sort of like, oh well, if you do this, you can't like take away my gun. Like, I don't know, how about you guys come up with this great idea? Let's make it illegal to get shot. Like,
Yeah.
it's just the stupid idiocy.
Yeah. And let's face it, the awards are this pretentious self-congratulation of entertainment. And it's just
But
entertainment.
most people are going to see it. They're going to see
Yeah.
this before they ever watch any presidential debate or read any newspaper
Yeah.
or read any article up on any sort of political thing. So this is the most opportunity that most people are going to hear about anything at all.
Oh, I'm wondering how often we're going to hear about Trump.
Oh, yeah. God, he's got to be in the game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll have to add we do have a drinking game for near the end of the show, folks.
I think with nothing to do with the drinking game yet, but as far as the Oscars go, it's a self-congratulatory thing, and it's a bunch of millionaires, and they're all patting each other on the back and stuff. And I disagree with that sentiment. The way I look at the Oscars, like I look at any job, is you want to be recognized and appreciated
by your peers
for doing hard work.
Yeah.
By your boss or your coworkers or your peers in any industry. And, because their industry is like, it's completely in the public eye. I mean, that's their job, is to be in the public eye and speak to us directly, so that, a big, huge televised thing, like, I don't mind that. I think it's perfectly acceptable to go, oh yeah, you did a great job on this movie. You're a fantastic actor in this movie. It's good. It's a pat on the back, sure. But it's a pat on the back that we all want. And frankly, a lot of people feel really entitled in jobs that aren't the entertainment industry, where it's like, I deserve to be recognized for being hardworking and doing this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And then the same people go, oh, fuck the Oscars, it's self-congratulatory bullshit. It's like, well, you're no better than them. It's just, I don't know who the fuck you are.
Well, somewhat, it's like these people are like,
I agree with
so
that.
many times nowadays, people want to get patted on the back for doing the bare fucking minimum. No, I'm not going to thank you for doing what is essentially your job.
Exactly.
You've done
Yeah.
what you are supposed to do. You do more than that, sure, I'll thank you. But
And
quite frankly,
I think
thanking you for just existing isn't good enough.
Yeah, and I think that's what that's what the Oscars are about, is, being exceptional in your field. Whether your field is installing wall sockets or it's portraying fucking Captain Jack Sparrow, it's a job.
And they are extraordinary performances. And
Some of them are, yeah, for sure.
I would
Some of them.
Some like Sean Penn are terrible, but
I think there's a part of it too
I think
where
he's a deserving actor, and maybe that wasn't and that's, I think, a bit of a controversy too. Sometimes they're awarded
from a
too
previous
late.
performance
Yeah.
on a substandard performance that happened because they're like, oh well,
they feel like
we'll do
they-
it this year because we forgot
they
last
screwed him
year.
over. And sometimes it's not about that specific performance. I feel that way when Peter Jackson won for Best Director
Sure.
for Lord of the Rings. And I hate that he did a terrific job on those movies, but I felt the
not
third
his best
movie
work.
that he won for wasn't the best out of the three, and we all know he won for the body of work rather than the specific
well,
work.
yeah, because he filmed and directed them as a single piece.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
all like, that's an enormous amount of work.
Yeah, he
I
did
can't
something
think of
nobody
a-
had done before.
Yeah, I can't think of a director in Hollywood that has ever done that, and
Yeah.
no one's attempted to do
Yeah.
it since.
Well,
Which
the
makes
closest
me
they got was
wonder,
Back to the Future.
should they maybe add another award for these really special achievements, because they are giving awards for something that isn't honest. It's
They
not.
have honorary ones.
Yeah, it seems that those have dwindled a bit in the last few years, though.
Yeah, well,
Well,
people are dying.
the thing is, too, and this is something that's happening in the real world
I feel
now.
like they should start giving awards for the hosts.
Not everybody deserves a participation award.
No.
Yeah,
Well, if you're celebrating exceptional achievement, then that's what you should celebrate.
yeah,
It's not like taking the soccer ball away so everybody fucking wins.
yeah.
And that apparently is a thing that's happening because, kids are dumb or soft or whatever or both. But yeah, you shouldn't. You should be rewarded for exceptional work.
Yeah.
Not, oh, well, this was good and that was good.
And I feel
no
like
one's
it
done that,
doesn't
but-
always fall into their categories.
Yeah, if it wasn't
No.
exceptional, good job, keep going, and you'll be rewarded
Yeah.
by more work. But if you're absolutely exceptional, then your peers will recognize you for
But I
that.
think I think part of the problem is, too, you're saying, like, yeah, some of these people are truly exceptional, and that's great. But sometimes when I'm watching these, I feel like, oh, yeah, they're just giving it to this person because their name's known. And it's not because they've done really great work lately. It just seems like, oh, you're the most recognizable person we can put in this category right now. Like, you could have some sort of lesser known actor that probably did some exceptional work, but they're not going to get in there because
Yeah,
they're
maybe.
not the A-list.
Yeah,
So it's sort of like they do have a list of people they choose from, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're the most exceptional that year.
yeah.
Yeah, true. Well, yeah, I mean, and because I didn't realize there were so many people on the board, but maybe like a bit of favoritism and stuff comes into play because it's an imperfect.
Well,
Well,
when,
we've
when
also
you
talked about the
have
campaigning.
Yeah, when you have campaigning going on, and there's a certain limiting to that. The studios will campaign, but despite Hurt Locker actually winning Best Picture that year, I think the producer was disqualified for doing his own campaigning for the film. Mm-hmm. So I don't know. That it gets a bit wonky with their rules. And I don't pretend to
And what
understand them.
constitutes bad campaigning? Like, was he like...
Yeah, well,
Bad-mouthing the other
I think
movies?
maybe the campaigning shouldn't happen at all.
I know. I don't. I believe that should be wrong. Like if you're part of the Academy, I'm sorry. Okay, talking about exceptional,
I
and
feel
just doing
I-
the bare minimum of your job. The bare minimum of your job is to figure out what the best movies are out of these categories.
I feel
guys.
like
just
most
watch
of the.
them.
I mean, Jesus, with those award bags that the nominees and guests get.
Hell yeah,
Like, are you guys being bribed to go
pretty much.
to these things to be congratulated for your exceptional work? Because I mean, some of those are worth upwards of $80,000.
Of course.
God, there was a year I actually could have gone, and if I'd known how much the were in those bags, I would have went.
$80,000 plus the fact these people make millions. It's not so much like that's the thing why people get
Like,
kind of
these
upset.
people- yeah.
And it feels like millionaires glad handing themselves is because it all seems so free. And
Yeah.
they're already making tons and then just getting more and more on top of it.
Yeah.
That's why people get kind of peeved because it feels like
They'll
yeah.
go out and be an Oscar-winning actor.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Not
Can't.
everybody can.
Yeah, but
also,
if
you
I ever
can't-
get
no.
to go to the Oscars
But to be
again,
fair,
I'm
if you're not
turning it
attractive
down.
enough, you're never going to get there anyway.
I could use all that stuff. I'd flip it right away
to be
because
fair-
I need the money.
Like I say, if you're not attractive enough, you're never going to get to be an Oscar-winning actor.
Yeah, true.
You're just
Ron Perlman
not.
never won an Oscar?
You
Has
could be
again
an
a-
exceptional actor, but you don't look the right way. You're never going to get anywhere.
Well, I don't know if I agree with that or not.
You'll
but I'd
get
have
one
to,
or two good
I'd have
parts
to
and
look
that's
at the full list of people who've won and how many of them are beautiful people.
Yeah, no, if
you
you're
know,
a beautiful person, you can
I
ugly
do
yourself
feel
up and then go back to
what
being
the
beautiful.
category that's I think peeved me off the most over the years was Best Supporting Actress, and it felt like really the only thing you had to do to win that was cry.
Yeah. Well,
And some really terrible actors have won that award.
some of that is like best supporting actress, I think, and I have the same problem with supporting actors. Sometimes I'm watching a movie and I'm like going, that wasn't a supporting part.
Well, sometimes
That was the
yeah.
second main character.
You got to judge, well, what are you judging your quality of screen time for? You know, is that a lead or is that supporting?
Who in this movie do you spend the
yeah.
most time with? Who are the one that you're supposed to empathize the most with? Which perspective is it from?
Yeah.
If it's like that, like sometimes I'm like going, this isn't a supporting part. This is a lead part. Why on earth is this under supporting?
Yeah.
I've had that problem a lot.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I live in a world where Sharon Stone has an Oscar. Like, what? And Halle Berry.
Halle Berry. And what did she win for? Monster Ball or something like that?
Yeah.
Monsters Ball.
Monsters Ball. Was it for getting naked or?
Well, again, it's one like
She must have been exceptionally directed because,
True,
I
but
mean,
it's
as
like-
much as she's a beautiful actress and stuff, she's not a very good one.
But you
in
talk
my
about
mind.
Oscar bait. Monsters Ball was pure balls out Oscar bait.
Yeah.
Let's have a talk about race and people working on death row. You just have to pitch that, and people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh, we got to make sure this goes into the next Oscars."
Yeah,
that's
and
exactly what happened.
you know, message movies do that. That's what people look for. They want something deeper meaning. So when I look at the Oscars this year and see Mad Max Fury Road up for Best Picture and Director, I'm like, there's no deep meaning in this at all. This is
Yeah.
fantastic to see
But
something
we know
like this
why
in
that's
here.
there because they've
Sure.
been accused of not being edgy or ignoring popular movies. We know that's why that's there.
Well, yes and no.
Some of them are statements.
I think it does.
They'll add things just to make a statement.
Well, we'll get into our predictions, but I do think it deserves to be in that category because for what he's trying to achieve, I think it's a perfect film.
True, but I mean, like, deserve. Sometimes with the Oscars, deserve is meaningless.
No. Every now and again, they surprise me. You know,
Yeah.
Silence of the Lambs. That's the closest I think we'll ever to see a horror movie winning an Oscar.
True, but I mean, it wasn't even. It was psychological.
It's a thriller.
It was a
It's a
horror. It was a
thriller.
thriller, but it was like anything with gore. Though you're right, like anything with gore never sees an Oscar.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's like when friends ask me about horror movies, and they're like, "Oh, well, that got a bad review." I'm like, "They all do,
Yeah.
unless you're The Exorcist." And
Yeah.
I bet you it got bad reviews when it was new.
Yeah. Well, and Ex Machina is up for best.
Cinematography or something.
Well, it's up. I think
No,
it's up for
visual
best
effects.
Yeah, visual effects.
It's not up for anything else.
Oh, is it? Okay. I
And
thought
it's
it was
a
up
good
for some
movie.
other.
See, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Script-wise, a lot of stuff to do with that. It's a good film.
Yeah, anytime you see an Oscar going up for a science fiction film, it's usually
It was never gonna get
in
there.
effects or category or something like that.
Which makes me think when you're
Set
talking
dress.
about campaigning,
Yeah.
why do you think Fury Road's on there and Ex Machina is not?
Yeah, we'll get to that. I think actually we could get to our predictions now if we want.
We could, and I'm
I
flying
could go-
blind in a lot of these guys.
And I have a particular rule in categories that I know nothing about, and that tends to be short subjects, like the short docs, long docs. Anywhere in there, if I look through the list, because I don't know what any of that stuff is,
Yeah.
I look for the most depressing title, and I
Yes.
usually am right.
Me too.
So when you're making your Oscar predictions, if you don't know, just pick the one that makes you feel the saddest.
And see, that's the weird thing.
In title.
I think it's sort of like we were talking about Oscar bait and pretension. Is it seems like they misunderstand that feeling just gutted and unpleasant is the same thing as making art. Art can be uplifting and wonderful, and I think they sometimes miss that.
But documentaries cannot.
Yeah. Well, no, it depends. Sometimes you can have a documentary that would be good.
Now, you guys want to do the big ones, or you want to do the little ones and then end
My
with the big
list
ones?
here on this thing starts at Best Picture.
Yeah, mine starts from.
Okay, we'll
took
go the
Oscar
opposite of the
listing
Oscars.
And did it that way
No, we
because
can go to
that's
the
the
back.
order.
Whatever. I don't. Just tell me where you want to start.
Okay,
I'm
let's
I'm
go
gonna guess
to the
anyway.
bottom
Seriously,
of your
I thought we were
list.
talking about Stallone, so I don't even
Bottom of
know.
my list. Okay,
We will.
Bottom of my list is
writing adapted screenplay.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm on the Oscar site. Are you?
Yeah, I got a different list, so I'm going to be bouncing around
I
a
have
little
Best
bit.
Original Music Score.
Everybody's
Oh,
got
that's the
something
second
different.
one I've got.
Okay, tell you what,
Here, Jason, you just
I'll lead us.
Yeah, you lead.
I'll lead us.
you
So
direct
Because I wrote down my categories. I know where I am.
okay, good.
nominee for Best Podcast.
So it goes to not us. So I have sound mixing. Let's start with the categories nobody gives a shit about.
Yeah, sound mix.
Sound mixing. I actually think
what
we've
that
probably
means.
seen a lot of these. We got Bridge of Spies, Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, and Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
How come there's like multiple people, like The Martian's got like one, but The Revenant and Mad Max and Star Wars each have two.
because more than one person did the editing, I guess.
Yes, and Sicario. So what does sound editing mean?
Okay, sound mixing and sound editing are two different things.
Yeah.
It's piecing together
Sorry, I'm
your
on sound
sound.
mixing.
Yeah, so we want to be on sound mixing.
Sound mixing, yeah.
Yeah.
We're on
Mixing.
the same page here.
Mixing is putting everything together.
It's the
all those
layering
pieces.
of everything so that you get the context of, in your regular world,
Yeah.
you hear a bunch of things all at once.
Mm-hmm.
The mixing makes it make sense.
Yeah.
That's how I understand it.
Yeah. You have your background sounds, just that air of the room, and then say you're in a restaurant, so the clanking of dishes and silverware and that
or
sort
the
of
door
thing.
moving when people
And
come
then
in.
the chatter of the people, and then of course the people that are focused in the scene and they're speaking, and then maybe there's an underlying music in that scene.
Or somebody might move a chair at some point.
Yeah, so it's all these little elements that come together and in that moment, and that's the mix.
Well, I'm going to nix both nominations for The Martian because that movie takes place in a vacuum.
Yeah, I know, right?
For the most sound not present in a film, that goes to The Martian.
I would say that I would even eliminate Star Wars from that because that is mostly score and very in-your-face sound effects. There's not a lot of subtle.
But it's sort of, but I mean, like, it has other effects in there. Like, it's making sound effects and creating that layer
There's
of stuff that doesn't exist.
There is a lot of sound effects.
Which I
but
like that idea.
I wouldn't say it's
I wouldn't say it's
layered.
going to win. Oh, yeah, no, sorry. I have two categories. I have who I would like to win and who I'm pretty sure will win.
I have Mad Max Fury Road in this one for just this sheer chaotic mix of this whole thing. The music and the chase and the sound of the cars and dudes playing guitars on giant machines. And I'm sure I haven't seen anything for Bridge of Spies other than the trailer. And this is a
Talking
Spielberg
head
movie, so we
Yeah.
know this is going to be a really pretty looking movie. And he has a certain quality to everything he does, so I'm sure it's great. I don't think it's going to be standout for just the subject matter. What do you guys pick for this?
I don't know. I don't think Mad Max should get it because I didn't find what we're calling sound mixing very effective in that movie, to be honest. I found it very loud, and I found a lot of it was really, like, weirdly muted by other things, like the guitar guy, right? I mean, they built that up so much, and then when you get there, like, it's audible, sort of, but it's not like it's a big moment, and then I felt like it should have been a bigger moment, so yeah, I wouldn't give it to him.
Okay.
I haven't seen The Revenant, but I imagine it's a lot of snow crunching. Well,
Yeah, like I feel The
Right?
Revenant, you're trying to put nature in all around it as well.
Yeah.
I
So,
think
you
The
know
Revenant,
what?
I put The Revenant.
I feel like nothing on this list deserves a nod for sound mixing. So I don't know. I would maybe give it to Star Wars. I don't know. They all sound flat to me.
I want it to be Star Wars, but I'm
It won't be Star
betting The Revenant.
Okay, so
My vote is undecided.
We have an abstention.
okay, he's abstaining. That makes it easier for us to
Ladies.
win this contest. Documentary feature.
Oh my God, you're all
Documentary
over the place.
feature. Okay.
I'm going off of a ballot from the
Okay.
New York Times.
we talked
so-
about this, and we had the same
Oh,
one.
Cartel Land.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
we didn't have that.
Okay, why do you pick Cartel Land?
Well, you said the most depressing thing.
Oh,
Okay.
no, that's not the most arresting.
No, no.
You don't think.
Oh, no, I don't
okay,
think
let's
so.
have a look here. Foreign disputes with Winter on Fire. Ukraine's fight for freedom. It's American Academy. They don't care about the rest of the world. That's out. That's out. Amy is about Amy Winehouse.
And it's a horrible, horrible film.
Yeah, but everybody loves her, and she's
Everybody
a crazy
loves her.
coke
Doesn't
fiend,
matter.
and-
It was a shit film.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I feel like
Tell us how you really
I
feel.
feel like that should win. What's Look of Silence?
No idea.
No idea. Sound of
An
one hand clapping.
optician confronts the men who killed the brother that he never knew. That sounds terrible. During Indonesian genocide.
Oh, that one might be
Ooh.
it.
Is
Foreign
that what happened to
policy.
Miss Simone?
No, foreign policy. I don't think it's out of bounds for the foreign policy. I went with the Ukrainian one simply because it was something the Americans might actually have heard about.
Yeah, I went with Winter on Fire just because I really liked the title and it sounds depressing.
Oh, yeah.
I went with my rule.
And-
Why research what I'm doing?
And I put one that I
This is
wanted.
blind faith.
I wanted to even be nominated to win, which was He Named Me Malala.
Oh, it didn't even get nominated.
Nope. This is my who should win and who should have actually been nominated list as well.
That falls into our snub category.
Yeah. Falls into my it's bullshit category. Amy should not be on
there
that
has
list.
been controversy of this being a very white Oscar award ceremony this year, despite Chris Rock leading, which I'm sure he's going to have a lot to say about.
But like my biggest
it is
problem
Chris Rock.
with Amy being nominated is like I've watched that documentary, and while you say what the topic is great, I'm sorry, a documentary, the topic isn't going to make it. If the whole thing is a mess, it's not worth it.
Right.
And that documentary is a giant mess.
But maybe the whole documentary being a giant mess is actually like super high concept because it wants you to make you feel like you're inside the giant mess that was Amy's life.
Ooh, deep.
No, that
and
sounds...
the Oscar for the best sales pitch goes to...
The smell of that just... Oh, that's overpowering. The stench of what you just said makes me unhappy.
Okay, don't make me play you guys off stage.
Okay, let's keep
You should
going.
have that preloaded.
Okay, I
You
should.
should have had that there. Then you should have been like...
I could always put it in later.
Really? Yeah, so I don't know. I think Amy. That's my guess.
Okay.
And when you said Winter and Fire.
We both say
had
Winter and Fire.
All right.
Okay, best makeup. We have The 100-Year-Old Man, The Revenant, and Mad Max Fury Road yet again. Mad Max Fury Road is
Mad
a lot
Max
of
is grease paint.
That's a lot of pancake paint.
Yeah, and
white
it's
paint.
not... This one, I don't think they kind of got it. Like, I've only seen really the trailer for the 100-Year-Old Man, and all they did was make a guy look old, and I don't think they did a great job of it.
Okay.
So I had actually something different that I think should be there. Like I had for who I guess.
You're not using the list at all.
No. You know who will win? I'm guessing Mad Max will just win.
But it's not good.
Oh,
makeup.
I'm not talking about whether they should
makeup
win.
is also makeup and hair. It's not strictly makeup.
Nobody
so.
had any fucking hair in that movie.
No,
It's not
true.
going to be Mad Max.
But to be fair, like they
They had
had.
shaved people, put clown makeup on them, and win an award. I'm sorry.
Yes, you can. In this instance, you can. I'm not talking about what's valid and what's deserving, and we're talking about what we think will win. That's a different conversation.
This is how animated we get over shitty categories.
Yeah, this is a different conversation.
In my list of this Oscar, I don't even have that category. This is bullshit.
I know. That's what I'm
Where's the other
saying.
nominees?
I'm picking the best of the worst.
100-Year-Old Man and Mad Max, and what else?
and The Revenant.
And The Revenant. And
Oh,
then,
yeah, well, that's shitty, too.
It's either Mad Max or The Revenant, but I thought I watched Carol this morning, and like for like just hair and makeup capturing that 50s vibe, I thought it did really good. I think it should have been one of them.
Well, I mean, they do have
They have them for
costume set
costuming,
dress,
but that's
which
not
makes
the
more
same
sense.
thing. Costuming for the 50s is easy. I'm sorry, guys. It just is.
Yeah, you just go
But
to any
you
fucking
made an
rockabilly
argument
shop.
for costuming, so I'm not sure. I guess hair would be part of that. Yeah, you might be right about
Yeah.
that. But I don't know. And Revenant's just dirt and
Furry and dirt.
furs, dirt, and maybe some
it brings
frostbite.
For like Mad Max, they
It's
have
probably
like a
legitimate
Morton Joe
frostbite,
guy.
so
I
nobody
thought
should
we
get
were-
credit for it.
Yeah, then a Morton Joe guy. I thought we were including stuff like scars and like terrible. Like I thought that was included.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Mad Max again because I want Mad Max to take everything.
That was my understanding
I
of
don't
what it
want Mad
was.
Max
That's
to
I
have
included like
anything.
some
I'll
of the
agree with you there.
disfigurements of Mad Max.
Yeah,
Ugh,
that is part of it as well.
shenanigans.
Okay, costume design. Since you talked about Carol, let's go to costume design. And for costume design, we have Cinderella, the Disney live action thingy, Carol, the Danish Girl, the Revenant, and Mad Max Fury Road. And I feel like the Revenant might win in some of these shitty categories.
I think it
I'm gonna
will.
give
Just
it to
so,
Cinderella.
because I don't know if they're going to give it the best one or not. But
My vote's Cinderella to win.
Cinderella,
Yeah, it's pretty exceptional.
okay, I
It's
haven't.
actually the only good thing about that movie.
Is the
It's very
costume
excellent costuming. Yeah.
okay?
A lot of my friends who are costume people, like they make them and stuff, they all were like, "Oh my god, the costume."
Oh, okay.
But I tend to agree. Mad Max, I mean, you just dredge up some fucking football equipment and a gas mask from your steampunk trunk, and it doesn't count as costuming. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well, yeah, and
It
most of those
sort of
guys are
Well, the same
Shirtless
lady who
anyway.
did Cinderella did Carol.
Yeah, it's
she's
I
up
think
for two.
for costume design, the period pieces impress me more.
Yeah, that's why I say Cinderella.
So, but I went with the
Period.
Danish Girl. I went slightly different.
okay. I did watched the trailer for The Revenant, and I think the costuming is pretty exceptional in there, so I'm going to go with The Revenant, and I feel like they'll give it a bunch of shitty awards, because I don't know.
I have it down for
We're not
other
that far
ones.
yet.
No, we're going to get there. I have some controversy on that one. Okay, cinematography. This is a big one, because this is the painting of the canvas. This is the lighting and the general look
The
of the
palette of the
film.
whole thing.
Yeah, and
Cinematography can make or break.
yes, and so we got again Carol, The Hateful Eight, Mad Max Fury Road, The Revenant, and Sicario. And this is always a tough category, and there's one person in particular who's won this several times now. And
That's on this list?
That is on this list, and will probably win it again, in my mind.
Yeah, I can't say. If Mad Max is deserving of a category, I would say it's cinematography. Because visually it was exceptional.
It was the toughest one. I had a lot of trouble with this one.
I haven't seen The Hateful Eight, though.
I went with Mad
feel
Max,
like-
but The Hateful Eight, I feel like
it's gonna win, yeah.
They use special cameras for that. They put a lot of work into The Hateful Eight. But I think what might have let it down in the voting is because of like kind of the limitations of like location. I don't think it's much of it takes place outside of
Yeah.
a few
Although it looks like
locations.
he's Tarantino's go-to cinematographer.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
take that as you will. I'm not a huge fan of his movies, but I don't know if it's the cinematography I don't like more than like.
He's got a good cinematographer, but for me, just even in the trailer, I'm like, my God, The Revenant is beautiful.
But
So-
like I don't know, Mad Max made me feel like I just like the way that they put that together.
Yeah, that looked really.
I mean, I think
I felt
this is a
very
very deserving
dry.
list for almost everybody.
Yeah,
But
this is the
I-
only one I agree with most of it.
Yeah, I think.
And Carol itself, a very rich palette, is very good.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. There's lots of bright colors in it, and it does have that, like I said, like you said, that 50s vibe,
And it takes place at Christmas.
right? And you're sentimental about Christmas.
No, but it captures. Well, it captures. There's some lots of vibrant reds. There's lots of just the visual. Like it's a winter palette.
Right.
like The Revenant.
Yeah,
the horrible
It is
side of
also
the
red with snow.
yeah,
Just saying.
but a little less lesbianism.
True.
Okay, fair.
I don't think there's a lot in The Revenant, is there?
Well, maybe not lesbianism per se.
Homosexuality?
No,
Probably
no.
not.
Bestiality.
Oh, bear things.
Bear things. Well, that's just like a metaphor for whatever.
Untamed sexuality?
Well, okay, I'm going to go with Revenant for cinematography. So
I'm actually gonna go with Mad Max for this.
I went with Mad Max.
okay, you guys went. I went against my Mad Max.
I know.
vote, so
Well,
this is good.
This is one of those other categories where they feel comfortable giving it to a movie like Mad Max.
Yeah. Okay, so next one up here is production design. And production design is you're looking at sets, what's in the sets, what's just on shelves, like it's that sort of thing.
Okay, so Mad Max deserves none.
Well, Mad Max
It
Fury
is
Road is on there,
in
The
the
Danish
desert.
Girl, the Bridge of Spies, The Revenant, and The Martian. And
I
again,
almost
like this
wanna-
is creating the look of the film and the look of the 50s or the look of, I don't know, a den. I guess it looks like Bridge of Spies is in nothing but a bunch of nice rooms.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. It's a paper and
I
books type
actually
of movie.
watched The Martian. I've seen 2 nominated movies on all these lists, but I watched The Martian and I thought it looked really great. Like, and I know that they put a lot of work into being as visually accurate as possible.
And I picked that because of that.
And I think The Revenant did that as well, but again, Spielberg's people are really good at it, and I think I'm going to go with Bridge of Spies on this one.
Yeah.
When I was researching that film, I was actually really impressed with the sets
kind of going
of that
halfway.
film. Yeah, but I think they're again all really deserving nominees
That's
for this category.
one of the categories that I think
Yeah.
is good. But I went with The Martian basically because I felt they were trying to make it.
They did a lot of work.
Yeah. Now, I took a guess on this one because I didn't bother listening to most of these. The best original song. Music's always a weird one for the Oscars because I feel like the Grammys overcovers this. And that's
Original
what they're
song
there
or
for.
original music
We're going to
score?
do original song first.
Okay.
Now, this is a song written for the film that's a standalone thing. It's not the background music of the film. This is a musical piece. A lot of the times these happen during the credit sequences.
Yeah.
Or the introduction sequences in the film. Youth is up there. Spectre, Racing Extinction, 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
And The Hunting Ground.
Well, I don't have these listed by movie, actually.
Yeah.
Mine are the songs themselves.
That's and
Earned it.
please tell me who did these, because I've got the shitty New York Times list and they're not giving me details
The
on
50 Shades
who
of
did
Grey
these.
one earned it. That I've heard that on the radio. That's actually a top 40 song I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
yeah,
it's got
and that's
The
what it's
Weeknd.
called, is Earned It,
Earned
and it's
It.
by The Weeknd.
Yeah,
Okay.
and he's been doing lots of stuff.
There's Manta Ray by Anthony Hegarty.
Okay.
Till It Happens to You is Lady Gaga.
Mm-hmm.
Simple Song number 3 is David Lang.
Mm-hmm.
And my pick, Writings on the Wall, is Sam Smith, just because I like Sam Smith.
Okay, which one's the Spectre song? Because it sucks.
Writings on the Wall.
Okay, I'm crossing that one off the list
Aw.
because I fucking hated that song. It was terrible.
All right,
It was
well,
so flat for
that was my pick,
a
but I've
Bond
never
song.
heard it. So
Oh,
It's the only one I actually have heard. So
I put earned it because I just figured they'd want to try to do something different. I'm trying to figure out what the Academy's trying to do.
I blindly picked whatever the one was attached to The Hunting Ground.
Yeah.
For no particular reason whatsoever. I just knew, as much as I wanted to vote for a Bond movie, I heard the song, and being a Bond fan, it was
Yeah.
a terrible song for a Bond film. So,
interesting.
yeah. So fuck you, Spectre. Best original score. Now, this is the background music and the overall music that you will hear in a film like Star Wars when they have the big marches and things like that, and the Emperor's theme or whatever.
So these are things that I, talked about pre-recording, but I'll say it again.
Yeah.
With this being Best Original Music Score, I've noticed on this list that John Williams is nominated for Star Wars.
Which is derivative work.
And Ennio Morricone is nominated for The Hateful Eight. Now, Star Wars, there are new pieces of music.
Yes.
But as an overall original musical score, it is derivative of his early work. There's a lot of the original Star Wars in this score.
Yeah.
The Hateful Eight score is recycled, unused music from
The
the
Thing.
1986 John Carpenter's The Thing, or whenever it
Right.
came out. So
82.
then does that count as original music? It hasn't been heard before, but it was scored for a different movie.
Right.
So, do those two movies specifically deserve
They
that?
probably
I
shouldn't
love
even
the
be
Force
in the
Awakens
category
No.
for that specific definition,
Yeah.
for sure.
Like, I think what we were discussing too is like going, they got Star Wars in there, and John Williams does great stuff. But like, what I love the new Star Wars movie, and that's great. But do I have a piece of music that just is stuck in my head, like from the old one? Is there an Imperial March? Like, is there something that I can say I can do the tune, and you know what it is? No, I think this is basically a retrospective, and they're like, oh, we forgot to give it to him like 30 years ago.
The other three
Maybe we should
nominees,
get on
by the
that.
way, are Sicario, Carol, and Bridge of Spies. I in my back of my mind, I think this award is going to be given not for a specific movie. When we were talking about, I think this is
Lifetime achievement thing?
more
Yeah.
of a lifetime achievement,
So,
which is
and
why I think we're going with
Morricone?
Morricone.
Yeah.
Mostly because John Williams has won this a few times.
See, I still went with Star Wars. I still feel they're trying.
Yeah,
to
while I
prove a
think
point.
neither of those guys should be in this category because it's derivative work, I'd like to see John
I agree
Williams
with
win
you.
just because I really like him. But I think you're right that Morricone will get some recognition for like the 40 years of awesome scores
And that's
he's done.
Yeah.
and I think
Which-
I don't think that should be what he's awarded for this. Like, he should
It
be
should be a
getting.
separate thing,
It should
yeah.
be a separate award,
Yeah.
but I think that's who's going to win this based on his body of work,
Which
rather than this particular
brings me
piece.
to one thing. I remember we were discussing this previously, where we were talking about scores, and you were saying It Follows should have
Oh,
gotten nominated.
and it
yeah.
didn't.
No, but
I
you were
know.
saying, oh, a small movie can
As a
get nominated
character.
as
Yeah.
a character, and I'm like going,
I
it
am wrong.
can't. And you look at this list, and we know why.
Oh,
it
shut
can't.
up! I knew you were going to bring that
This
up.
Of
list is
course I did.
giant movies. Like, there's not a movie on here that no one's
That's
Carol,
not huge.
but-
Well, no, but Carol has like Kate Blanchett and Todd Haynes, and
Hmm.
like it's an art piece. It's known.
Yeah, I think. Well, you know what though, It Follows is a fantastic score, and we've talked about it lots. But as a standalone piece of music, it is less effective.
Yeah, as a standalone, it doesn't. I've tried. It doesn't work as outside of its film.
But the same with Star Wars. I
No,
don't
I
think
could
this
listen to
this
Star Wars.
Force Awakens one. Nope.
Oh, I loved it.
I could listen to that
I
by
bought the Force
itself.
Awakens soundtrack, and there are some new pieces of music that are fantastic.
Yeah.
My wife was pissed off because she played flute in band, and this isn't an American Pie thing. I wish it was, but it's not.
Wait, so this one time at band camp?
Yeah, so one time at band camp, she was playing all of, like, I mean, if you are in a school band, you play John Williams songs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But as a flute player playing Star Wars songs, you don't have a whole lot to do. You just stay, what does she say, at rest or whatever. But the I believe it's Ray's theme. There's actually a huge piece that's written for flute. And I bought the soundtrack on CD, and we were listening to it, and she was like all mad because there was this great piece of flute music that wasn't in any of the earlier ones. But they totally, I mean, like,
I go with her on that because I've had both entrances. Like I played clarinet.
Whoa,
and
what are we talking about here?
Yeah, no, I played clarinet and I played trumpet. Now for trumpet, there's some like stuff there where it's
you just
good.
go forever.
Yeah, you go forever, and you're like, when do I get to stop?
John Williams likes his brass section.
But clarinet, you get a little bit of a rest. But yeah, like for some of the big blustering stuff, a trumpet, you're going the whole time.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, if you played brass, you don't want to play John Williams actually. Because
you do not.
Dead.
You do not, unless you're like just really looking for a workout.
But it's a great standalone, and even the Hateful Eight, people love the Thing soundtrack. It's an amazing soundtrack.
Oh God, yeah.
And a lot of my friends have bought the Hateful Eight soundtrack because it's Morricone, and they rave about it. And I haven't bought it yet, but because I'd like to see the movie first, but I don't pay to see his movie, so
I'm interested in because I went to the Digital Film Fest last night and actually rewatched The Thing.
Nice.
Oh, nice.
And for those of you guys who keep asking me when are we going to cover it,
never.
Yeah, no, we will, but it's going to be a long way down the road. That's going to be a big episode.
It's a special one. We can't just.
Yeah, we're not going to blow that one right away. So.
We're saving ourselves.
There is nothing we can say about that movie that hasn't been said unless we all unanimously decide that it is a steaming pile of garbage and should never have been made, and then it'll be a unique podcast. But no one thinks that.
No, that's not
Everyone
us.
goes, oh, I hated the remake.
Yeah.
Guys.
We will do it, but it's going to be a while, and it will be a gush fest. So
actually, when I not even related, but
I'm not even that fond of the original. But
I bought a CED player today, video vinyl player made by RCA in like the early '70s, lasted 5 years. One of the movies is the original Thing.
Yeah,
really.
But that music does stand out, and it's subtly done in that movie. You get that opening thing of the music, and it's boom, boom.
Yeah.
And it closes that way too, and you don't realize how much that changes your mood. And it's not the traditional horror movie thing. Let's like build you and give away the scene. It's a masterful piece of work. So
this is why sometimes like I look at stuff like Score, and I'm like going, oh no, that's not right, because it's sort of it does so much for a movie. Like you take out that stuff, a lot of movies will just fall flat.
Yeah.
That can make or break. I always find it weird. The Batman animated series did this a lot, where there was large sections of the show with no music ever. It was just quiet, and it actually takes me out of it. I'm like, whoa, why is there no music playing? What's going on? It's weird, right? And then it'll start up or whatever. So music is an essential part of film.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I am a film music fan. So.
Okay, let's move on here to a shitty category nobody's probably looked at, documentary short subject. This is where my reasoning of most depressing title comes in, and I went with Claude Lanzmann's Spectres of Shoah. There's just something about that title that sounds...
It's not only sad, it seems obscure.
Yeah.
Obscurity also
with a
something
little
I put
bit
in
of
there.
fantasticness about it. So I don't know what this thing is about. I just went with the title. I could have clicked on what it's about, but I like flying blind on these ones.
And
so.
I tried to find the trailer for A Girl in the River, The Price of Forgiveness, just to see if I should have chose that one instead. And I couldn't find it. I was trying to get it somewhere.
That's just it. When I'm looking up these things, they're just impossible to find. I'm like, how do you guys even come up with these? I don't even like their sheer existence is like a small secret in festival circuits, never to be revealed again.
And you're saying they're like, well, just a trailer, YouTube. All I'm looking for is a trailer.
Yeah, it's so hard.
I didn't have that list, so no comment.
Okay. Jeff, I should figure out who the winner and the loser has to sing the next year's Christmas carol all by themselves.
Nice. And depending on who that is, depends on what I write.
Yeah, could be great. Could be bad.
Okay, and moving on to another category nobody probably saw anything for, short film live action.
I don't have that either.
And we got Ave Maria, Day One, Everything Will Be Okay, Shock with a K.
Yeah, no C.
And No C, and Stutterer.
I just took a blind stab for Stutterer.
I went with the title with the misspelling, Shock.
Yeah, no comment.
Okay, Jeff is singing this year. And now we should actually take a musical break with our now here's Gary Newman with
I know, yeah, that's what makes it so long. Is like we have to do every
Randy
song
Newman.
with a large elaborate thing.
Randy Newman. And Jeff's looking at
don't
me. I'm
want
like,
you
I'm
to.
not your monkey.
Dance, monkey, dance.
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 Okay, short animated film. Again,
That
didn't
boy
see
in
any
the
of this
world
stuff.
looks pretty neat. That's my pick.
Yeah,
Oh,
we
no,
got
that's the full film,
We got
isn't it?
Oh, is it full?
English
Yeah.
title for this is Bear Story.
full.
I'm not going to try to pronounce the other name. Prologue, Sanjay's Super Team, We Can't Live Without Cosmos, and World of Tomorrow. I actually did this late last night, and I'm actually switching mine to
Bear something.
no Sanjay's Super Team because the
Yeah.
animated expert at my shop said that it was fantastic. So I'm just going to say yes.
I read a couple of the synopsis for these ones because again, it's hard to find the
Yeah.
things just because I'm like, it's a short. Why can't I just watch the short?
Yeah, every now when these lists come out and when I do get a chance to go through them, I'll like find one
Yeah.
of them in sometimes in their
But
entirety.
as depressing as I chose the depressing prologue as the one I want, but I think the one I think I probably would have wanted to have won, but probably most likely won't win is that Sanjay Super Team.
Right.
I feel Sanjay Super Team's too happy. It's not arty enough.
But it's animated, so happy's fine.
No, I think they still want to make it like,
Well,
which will when we get to our animated thing,
yeah,
it'll make sense.
Yeah. Okay, best film editing, and this is
That
how
one's
a
hard.
film is cut. It is a hard one to judge, especially for somebody who doesn't know how to spot film editing. It's how these little pieces are put together, because when you're shooting a film, you're not shooting in most of the time you're not shooting in chronological order that you're seeing it as pieces, and then it's put together in this longer narrative.
Yeah. Pieces and angles and
Yeah, so you got
Short
multiple
sections.
shots of scenes. You've got establishing shots that are wider, and then the close-ups, and
not just
there's
that,
several angles that they're picking from.
And not just that, you've also got the concept where like going, well, we've put these bits together, but if I put them in this order, they don't make sense. If I split this scene that we've shot here over here, then it kind of makes sense.
And then it changes the narrative.
And changes the narrative. Like there's a lot more to it that can fix and can destroy a movie if you put something in the wrong spot.
Yeah,
I don't notice exceptional editing because you shouldn't.
that's it. That's
But-
exceptional
Notice
editing. You
bad
shouldn't
ones.
It's
notice editing.
jarring when there's a bad cut. Or
I
like,
totally agree.
A lot of times, we'll be watching a movie with Heather, and I'm like, oh, she's like, what? I'm like, that cut was terrible. She's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, oh my god, how did you not see that?
Yeah, when you
So bad.
you're not. It's the art of not noticing
Yeah.
what they're doing.
If
The
you
entire
don't notice.
Yeah.
end section of The Lord of the Rings where it was fade to black 10 goddamn
Yeah.
times. That's bad editing. Did you hear me, Peter Jackson? That's bad editing.
I miss George Lucas's side wipes.
Oh yeah, the swipe.
yeah.
It's terrible. I sometimes use those in my film
But
school
there's something
Or the
documentaries.
top down, and
Yeah.
I'm not going to give film editing to Star Wars.
But there's something
because
endearing
it uses
about them. I'm
those,
sorry.
Yeah.
which is super endearing.
They're
but
terrible.
it's not good editing.
I mean,
I know.
it's in every editing suite cheap
Oh,
editing
yeah.
suite you can buy.
Yeah,
Like those
since the
swipes are
80s.
awful.
Home films are what you use those for.
Yeah,
I would say of the I've seen Mad Max, and I think that it was edited well because it definitely keeps that energy up and pace,
Yeah,
and you're not lost in stuff like you were with I don't know, things like Braveheart and Gladiator, where things are like super cut really fast and like the action's lost in a million cuts.
Yeah.
This one I thought was cut well.
Yeah,
So
for an action
give it to Mad
movie,
Max.
when you're looking at a Michael Bay movie, there's so many quick cuts to hide shitty filmmaking.
Or there was one Bourne one. I think the last Bourne one. I remember just when it gets too fast, you're like, oh, we're putting all this in here, and how great.
You got to be able to follow.
If I can't follow, like I just eat my popcorn. And look at my,
I mean,
I'm not gonna
sometimes that
bother.
kind of editing, you're supposed to feel the same thing that actors feeling
it's
in the
all
moment
chaos.
and feel that chaos. But if you can't decipher what's going on because of the fast cuts or shaky cam or whatever, then it's not effective. You're just reaching for the Dramamine.
Yeah, more
So-
often than not, you're like. Oh, fuck,
And
I
that
stopped
could
caring.
have easily been Mad Max, and it
didn't
wasn't.
actually.
No, I
They
thought
did
it
really
flowed,
good.
It flowed well.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen
Yeah,
the
I'm gonna change mine.
Man on Fire with like Denzel Washington?
Yes,
That's like
Yes.
probably the worst editing, production design, and cinematography in a movie. I'm just going to say that now. I hate it.
You know what? Nothing stands out about that movie in my mind anymore. So
I
that's one
watched
I haven't
it, and
seen.
for the first like
It's okay.
5 minutes,
I feel like
it did
it's
this
okay.
really bizarre like cuts and angles and and timing and color, and like I was like, oh, this is interesting for a title sequence. But then they just did it for 2 hours, and it was exhausting.
Yeah.
Like I had a hard time muscling through. So editing's important. people.
Would you
Yeah.
have had to go back to the
Do a
beginning
good
of that Blob sequel where it's just a kitten in the grass?
Just a kitten. I always go, whenever I'm having a hard time with a movie, I just go back to the kitten in the grass.
Always have to have a shitty cutaway. Other films up for best editing are Star Wars: The Force Awakens, The Big Short, Spotlight, The Revenant, and of course we said Mad Max: Fury Road, which is my choice as well.
I
Is
expect
that
the 3 for 3.
3 for 3. All right.
Oh.
Moving on. Visual effects. Speaking of science fiction, this one is all over this category. And we have Ex Machina, Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, which is not science fiction. Hate to tell you people. Not. Lots of CGI, but none. And Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
I give it to Star Wars just for the practical effects angle.
Practical effects, okay.
I do, but I give it to Ex Machina because I figure A, it's pretty good, and B, it's not going to get anything else. And they're going to give it to it because they want it to have something.
It's like super subtle, but it definitely had like a. I would give Ex Machina more of a cinematography nod or production design nod than an effects nod.
But
personally.
it didn't get a nomination.
it.
I feel this is going to be them making up for it.
Yeah, if they give it to The Martian, it's not deserving. Cause,
Okay.
it's Red Rocks.
Okay.
The Revenant I haven't seen. Just because of the subject matter of The Revenant, how can you have great visual effects? I got to give it to Star Wars because Mad Max isn't as exciting as Star Wars.
Here's the thing. If you're giving visual effects of The Revenant, like if you're awarding it to them, just give it to Alberta. Because we made the visual effects.
Yeah. Your special effects is our backyard.
Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't take any computer-assisted imaging to make Leonardo DiCaprio look like a douche.
Well,
so
apparently the bear is CGI.
great.
And I'm sure
So
it
was
looks
King
fantastic.
Kong, and he didn't win it. Oh wait, he did.
Jeff actually convinced me on this one. I was going to go with Mad Max, but I'm going to actually go with Star Wars on this one as well. I think it is well deserving because of what they did.
Oh, for sure.
Their choice for as much practical as they have and still look great.
Yeah.
And there's some
But like I say, I'm
completely
basing my
stunning
guess
visual
not on-
Yeah.
effects, right? Like all those crazy landscape shots, like we talked about with
Yeah.
like the down Star Destroyers, and there's
Yeah.
that like John Woo moment with the X-wings and the sunset, and
Yeah.
it's just I don't know, it's just really well.
It is-
visually, it's great.
It's a visually amazing. Yeah.
It was a 5-course meal for the eyes.
Very nice.
I love that.
I was trying to do Obi-Wan.
That was.
That was good.
That was
That's how we
spot
knew
on.
exactly who that
was
was.
spot on. I didn't want to have to say it for the audience.
No,
but-
if they don't know it, they don't know. They're
Yeah.
not going to
Oh,
explain
guys.
it.
So sorry, I didn't get Trish. What was
Oh,
yours?
I went with Ex Machina because
Okay.
part of what I'm doing here is I'm not so. Part of me is guessing, like I say, that's why I put who I want to win and who I think they're going to win.
She's one of them long hairs again. Eh?
Yeah.
No,
You're verbally streaking the Oscars.
I just figure like if this is guessing, if we're guessing who will win, I'm guessing what the
guessing.
Academy wants to do, not necessarily what I think is the right thing to do.
Okay.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
I think they all want to blow George Miller, and that's why he's nominated in every category.
Well, they're trying to seem edgy and trying to ingratiate themselves to him. That's
Mad
what's
Max
happening.
is nominated
like it
for
or not.
like short documentary. Like,
Well, like I keep telling people, the reason that's up is because for what he's trying to do, it's a perfect movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to win for best screenplay, but
No.
Luckily, it was not nominated.
Really, I wonder why. They're like, guys, we can't get away with this one.
and another category Mad Max is nominated for is sound editing, along with Star Wars: The Force Awakens, Sicario, The Revenant, and The Martian.
Can we do this
Now,
category?
yeah, this is different
sorry,
than
that was
sound
sound
mix.
mixing.
This is actually now editing those pieces for those scenes. It's similar to because again, sound is recorded non-linearly, so mixing is putting it all together. This is putting those pieces within the body of those scenes. It's awkward category, and most people don't know the difference. And as somebody who's done film, I don't really know either.
Yeah, like
It's such a fuzzy category to me.
They've nominated the same 6 movies for every category.
But I do get it. There's a difference between putting the mix together and then
And
putting
getting
it
the
within
points
the body
in.
of the scene. So,
Yeah.
honestly,
I know how you could
Sicario, just
explain
'cause I
it.
feel like it needs a nod here.
Sound mixing is making the pieces of the jigsaw puzzle, and sound editing is putting the jigsaw together.
there you go.
Okay, well, who's the oldest person nominated? Because the elderly people are very good at jigsaws.
I don't know, depending on the movie. They never saw the movie Saw,
Well,
so I don't know.
if you went for age again, that would be George Miller. But
son
I
of a
don't.
bitch.
I don't know how old the
Well, he wouldn't have
editors would
edited
be.
himself, yeah.
Well,
Let's give it to Sicario. I
rare.
feel like Sicario needs at
Sicario
least
is
one
going
award.
to need one. I think
Yeah.
they're going to want to give Sicario one.
Okay, well, I gave it to Star Wars because I figured that's all they're ever going to get is that kind of stuff.
Visual effects.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, best animated feature, which is a very interesting category this year. It's spread out throughout the world. Some great animated pieces in here. But general rule of thumb is if Pixar is up, don't vote against it.
Yeah.
So we've got Anomalisa, Boy and the World, Inside Out, Shaun the Sheep, and When Marnie Was There. So, I mean,
Studio Ghibli.
yeah, when I look at this list, I'm like, I narrow it down to Studio Ghibli and Pixar.
Yeah.
There's lots of standout films in this category, and I think it's generally, if Pixar wasn't the one everybody always goes for, I would probably give this to Studio Ghibli. And I can
Yeah.
only think of one year where Studio Ghibli won that category. So,
Was that for Princess Mononoke?
no.
My Friend Totoro?
No. Way after
Spirited
Totoro.
Away?
Spirited Away, thank you.
Well,
Okay.
well deserved.
Well deserved,
Yeah.
Spirited
absolutely.
Away's
Well
neat.
deserved.
Out of those, I agree with you. Studio
Yeah,
Ghibli or Pixar.
I want it to be Studio Ghibli.
I want,
It'll
It's
when
gonna be
Marnie was
Pixar.
there, I am just adamant against Inside Out. because
I was waiting for this because you
fucking
hate that movie.
Hated that movie so much. And I like Pixar. I like cartoons. I go out of my way to watch them. And we sat down and watched this movie, and it was fucking 90 minutes of telling us that it's okay to be sad. Fuck that movie. Nothing went on with that. All the characters were flat and uninteresting. You don't empathize with the protagonist character because you've taken away the thing that you latch onto. The emotional connection of your characters is completely eliminated because they've taken the complexity of an emotional character like that little girl and turned it into 5 one-dimensional, irritating fucking characters that sit at this weird, bizarre, we're watching you take a shit and masturbate control center. None of it makes any fucking sense.
Wow.
God,
love
I
this.
hated that movie so much. And it's just it's this epic fucking tale of crushing sadness. Life is going to be shitty pretty much forever, and you're just going to have to accept it, and that's fine.
It's
There's
preparing children for adulthood.
It totally is. And why would you do that? You know, they had more of an emotional impact.
because maybe it's cheaper than Paxil.
Maybe they had more of an emotional impact.
That $8
in
ticket.
The first 10 minutes of Up, without any words, than we drudged through with this ham-handed bullshit with second-rate animation. Pixar's a good animation company. Why does it look like a fucking Tinkerbell movie? This is bullshit. The only redeemable character in the whole thing was the imaginary friend. And just because you can't have a single moment of light in this whole fucking movie, they have to really brutally melt away Bing Bong. It's like, hey, here's this like heavy-fisted fucking in-your-face metaphor for your childhood disappearing. Have a great day. Guess what? In 2 years, you're going to get your period. That's all I have to say about Inside Out. Fuck.
Okay, so what was your pick again?
So my pick is When Marnie Was There.
Okay, I actually was like, I was waiting for him to go Inside Out.
Yeah.
Inside Out should not win.
Well, yeah, and again, we're getting to the point where what I think should win versus what I think will win.
Mm-hmm.
What I think will win is Inside Out. I'm with you on that. Never vote against Pixar.
Yeah, I think the Academy's easily swayed by Smoltzy
And we're talking
sentiments.
about campaigning anyway, so...
Yeah, it's Smoltzy sentiments, and everything he said is everything the Academy gobbles up and is easily swayed by. So yeah, I think Inside Out will win. I agree with Jeff. I think it should be Studio Ghibli. So When Marnie was there.
I'm going a different route. I was going to go what I would like to win is Shaun the Sheep.
And again, a fantastic studio that has been up here.
Aardman animations are my
Aardman has
favorite.
been up there more than once, and I think is overdue.
I tried a ton of times to try and get like working for that company was in the UK because I was like going, oh well, I'm here, I have to work for Aardman. Did not get in.
Yeah.
So mad.
Yeah,
that would have made my life.
I would be perfectly happy with Aardman winning this, but
that's deserving.
I don't
it's
think
like
it
a
will.
very unique old world style of animating that
Yeah.
no one looks at anymore.
Yeah, for sheer animation achievement and in looking so unique in a world
Stylistically.
full of CG shit. Yeah, Shaun the Sheep, for
and
sure.
it's part of a whole like world, like there's a richness to it.
I'm huge anime. Like, you look at my collection and I have more animation than anything else. So
Yeah.
I'm very passionate about this category.
I know. There's so much out there. Like in the Academy, just they need help. They need our help to help them with this.
Yeah,
Boy in the World looks interesting.
I feel like they're not
the
judged
animation
in the
style for
right
Boy in
things.
the World is very out there.
Yeah.
And I think that'll turn the Academy
Yeah.
off. But it might be worth a watch. I'm going to try and watch it. I haven't seen Shaun the Sheep yet, but I will because that stuff's
If
hilarious.
it's on Netflix, I'll find my friend with Netflix because
Yeah.
I want to see that. It looks interesting.
Yeah.
Boy in the World.
Okay,
All right, again, a category that is probably going to be pretty foreign. Get it? Foreign for everybody. That was awful. Embrace the Serpents. This was a picture from Colombia, and Mustang from France, Son of Saul from Hungary, Thebe from Jordan, and A War from Denmark. And again, I went with who had the either most depressing title or, in this case, the coolest title, Embrace of the Serpent. If I didn't know this was if nothing else, I'm thinking, is this a sequel to
Serpent in the Rainbow?
Serpent in the Rainbow or Lair of the White Worm or something like that? I'm so there.
I know, right? See, but if you're talking like...
But it's
that's
an Oscar
amazing-
movie, which means it's probably incredibly insightful and boring. So
Yeah, I feel like the war will win just on pretense alone.
Oh, see, I put Son of Saul because that sounded
Okay.
both pretentious and depressing.
okay, I like this a lot. I like that everybody's got a different opinion on this one based on nothing.
Everybody,
I know.
everybody has a different guess.
Yes. Okay. Best adapted screenplay. Now, adapted screenplay means this story existed in another form, a novel or a play or something, and was adapted for the big screen.
Yes.
So we
That's
have
the adapted portion of the category.
Yes, this
For those of you following along at home.
Yeah, for this one we've got The Big Short, Brooklyn, Carol, The Martian, and Room.
I give it to The Martian.
These are all great movies, really, and I'm with Jeff on this one. I think this will be The Martian, just to throw something at it,
See,
because I think Martian might get shut out in a lot of categories, and I think this is going to be the one they give to The Martian.
I went with Carol.
Again, I don't disagree. This was a hard category because when I looked these up, and I have seen at least the trailers for all of these movies, and they're all interesting films.
But I'm wondering about The Big Short because that's an interesting one. They're trying to make a kind of lighter movie about a very terrible subject of like all this shit that went down when mortgages just collapsed.
Yeah,
And
it
to make
also
it
sounds really boring.
And to make it, but to make it entertaining
the trailer
and
is really interesting. Like, I'm like, oh, looks like a decent movie about a really terrible but boring subject of bankers being shitty.
Like, I've chosen Carol, but I think like if it were to be like who I think probably should win, it should be The Big Short for trying to make something so dry into something that could be watchable.
And I feel like The Big Short
that's an
could
achievement.
be the underdog movie
It
that
might
could
do
come out
it.
of nowhere and win it all.
Yeah.
No, I think The Martian for the exact same reason. They took a book and made the best potatoes in space movie they could make.
Yeah. And the
like,
best
my-
potatoes in space movie goes to The Martian.
Also, the only potato. No, my wife.
That's the new category,
My wife
the
ate
potatoes in
that
space.
book apart. Like, she consumed that book in a day, and then we went and saw the movie. And she liked the movie and loved the book. And she's like, "Oh, there's so much more basically standing around doing nothing in the book." And I'm like, "Is that better? I don't know." So, Martian. It was a good movie.
Okay.
I like that movie. It
I
was
don't
fun.
know. It depends. Like, if you're talking about The Martian, like standing around doing nothing, A, you're trying to grow something. But B,
Potatoes in space.
there's like a tension where like, oh, am I going to die? Is this just me waiting to die?
Yeah, it was sort of
You
there.
you
but
could kind of do it, but it's hard to do it.
It wasn't super tense, I gotta tell you. Spoiler alert.
Aw.
The Martian wasn't super tense until the end when it's supposed to be tense.
Oh,
But
okay.
like a lot of time goes on and you're like, wow, this is basically just Saturn 3, except it doesn't have that creepy old dude macking on Farrah Fawcett. Who was that guy? Kevin? I don't want to say
Farrah
Kevin.
Fawcett didn't make it into the Who We Lost years.
Not yet.
Well,
no,
yeah.
no, the year she died, she didn't make it into Little Montage. That was a bit of a controversy.
Was it because she was a predominantly TV actress?
I don't know. It doesn't
Kirk
matter.
Douglas lecherously latching on to Farrah Fawcett was the movie Saturn 3. So
Right. Okay, so next up is Best Original Screenplay. And as we talked about adapted screenplay, it was adapted from another subject matter. Original screenplay, this was written for the screen specifically. It didn't exist in any other form up until this film. So we have Bridge of Spies, Ex Machina, which I feel... unfortunately,
It's
because it
derivative.
came so early in the year that
gonna forget about it.
it's going to be the forgotten movie. Inside Out, surprisingly, is on here. I
Not
don't
surprisingly.
Asking the age-old
you don't see a lot of
question.
animated features in here.
Considering what the Academy loves,
Yeah,
not surprising.
no, it isn't surprising.
It's asking the age-old question, what if feelings had feelings?
Spotlight, which is that's a tough one to beat, honestly, on
Yeah.
this list. Straight out of Compton, which I
Oscar
think is
so white,
the
hashtag.
only nomination for it.
See, and
I heard
I
it got
feel-
snubbed.
It, people are
Everybody
talking
says
about snubbing at the Oscars, and I do feel that maybe there were some films that were deserving to get nominated, and I'd like to tackle this when we get to Best Picture.
Yeah.
So we'll hold off on this conversation a little bit longer, but every year they talk about snubs, and they can only pick so many movies. That said, at one point they expanded the Best Picture category to 10 and then shaved it down to 8. And maybe if they had done 10, we could have gotten 2 more movies that I think were well deserved into that category. And honestly, I think there's a few directors that got snubbed in this year as well.
Maybe.
So for sheer only politics going on in this category,
Compton, yeah.
I
Yeah.
think it'll be Straight Outta Compton. I don't know. Personally, I think maybe this one belongs to Spotlight, but I think Compton will win it specifically to appease audiences out there in the
See,
world.
and this is an
And
interesting.
I think that's a terrible thing to happen. But at the same time, Compton deserves more recognition
Yeah.
than it's getting at the Oscars. So
And this is like a point of interest. Like, I know it's an original screenplay. Like, I think there should be a category where like it's an original screenplay from like based on something else, like an event
It's a
of some
biopic,
kind.
But so is Spotlight.
Yeah,
based on
I
a
know,
true,
right?
they're based on
And
a
so is
true
Bridge of
Scott.
Spies.
Yeah, and I think like when you're talking original screenplay, I
should
want
be
something
a
original.
unique idea.
It's the same problem I had with so many years people got Oscars for like impersonating somebody. They're just doing an imitation. It's not a role. You're just imitating somebody else. That's copying. That's not creating a fully rounded person in a role. And that bothers the shit out of me. And that's why this category just bothers me.
Yeah, I like the idea maybe because we do have a lot of those type of things in this category, maybe based on true events as a category. I'm not sure how you would title that category,
Yeah.
but there's so many that wind up in
To
that
be fair,
category.
I
and
felt
it's
those are
I mean,
adapted.
okay, it's maybe there's not based on a book, but you have real life events you've based it on, so that's not original because it happened to somebody.
Well, the really terrible
Didn't
thing
come out
about
of your
this
head.
Yeah,
category,
like
and
an original story, an original idea should get recognition.
Sorry, go ahead, Jeff.
if we are going along those lines, and I felt the same way about Straight Outta Compton, but now just reading the Spotlight synopsis and finding out it's based on true events, and Bridge of Spies is, then there only leaves Ex Machina and Inside Out. Ex Machina is extremely derivative. However unique a movie, but if you have read a science fiction book from the 50s, that's Ex Machina, which leaves only Inside Out, and I don't know if our listeners are aware, but I strongly dislike that movie, so I'm going to say that nobody is deserving of that award.
No, like, I mean,
but
that's
you're right,
why I said...
politically, it'll be straight out of Compton. It'll be like, hey, we like black
people. For an original
and
one...
that's a terrible reason to give it to it, but... It does deserve some recognition, and I'm not sure if it's this particular category, but it will probably win in this category.
Like for an original story, like, I mean, that would, if you had it so that there's a category for like an original story, you could probably maybe open it up to other categories, like maybe open it up to like horror or comedies or ones that just aren't getting recognized. Like I would put like for original screenplay, Spy and Trainwreck.
As I said earlier in the podcast, the earlier Oscars had best drama, best comedy. As well as Best Pictures. So, maybe you should bring them back, but at the same time, I mean...
Because they're just ignoring
the
them
Oscars
now.
ceremony is so fucking long already.
Well, that's just it. It's everybody wanting recognition.
Yeah.
But it drags for the wrong reasons. It drags because they shoehorn crap in that I don't need to see the best song performed with dancers.
give me the montage of the songs and be done. Yeah, we don't need the big opening number or a big opening monologue. Let's just fucking get to it.
And we don't need there's just this little stuff in between. Sure, play the film where the people we've lost.
Oh, and it's long because of fucking advertising too.
Yeah, but like you could take out a bunch of this.
Yeah. Okay. We are now moving into.
Quite frankly, sound editing, sound mixing, we can put it on the technical one. I think that it's where it should be. It shouldn't be on the regular show.
Okay. Now we're moving into some big categories. Best supporting actress. And you had some stuff to say about this category. So we got Jennifer Jason Leigh up for The Hateful Eight, Rooney Mara for Carol, Rachel McAdams for Spotlight, Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl, and Kate Winslet for Steve Jobs. And boy, Winslet's been good in categories she's been in.
And that's
like
the
this,
thing.
so
She's great, but like,
I don't.
Are we just defaulting to
No,
Kate?
I'm not.
Well, no, but the Academy is.
Maybe.
I love her. Don't get me wrong; she's a wonderful actress. But like, I don't know. I think sometimes when it comes to a supporting actress, you can be like, okay, Kate, you've won enough, and you're in a turd, so let's not nominate you. Like, why? How hard is that?
Yeah. Now, I haven't seen The Hateful Eight, but I love Jennifer Jason Leigh.
Yes.
I think she's spectacular and is long overdue for something like this. So I went with Jennifer Jason Leigh.
I'm hoping.
Based on nothing whatsoever. That's just my vain hope of in support of Jennifer Jason Leigh. So,
yeah, I'm not far behind you there, but I don't know. Has Rooney Mara ever been like nominated or anything for anything?
Girl with the dragon tattoo.
Yeah.
Oh, which character was she?
She was the girl with the dragon tattoo.
Well, I'll give it to her then. I like her.
Yeah, she's a great actress.
See, now this is the thing that we had discussed before the podcast.
Yeah.
I think Rooney Mara will win for Carol. Now, the problem I have with this is I watched this movie today. This is not a supporting part. The movie is largely told from her perspective. Carol is the person that she is in love with. She is mostly the character that we spend a lot of time with.
Yeah. Now,
she is the lead.
Yeah.
She is
now,
not
this
the
is
support.
actually something I learned in film school when script writing and deferring who the lead characters are. And I kind of disagree with this. The way this is structured in Hollywood is, especially if the lead character, if your movie's named Carol, that's your lead. Like, it's obviously about this person, at least in their minds. That's your lead character.
So the wizard is the lead in The Wizard of Oz?
And I disagree with this. I totally agree, because
they should have had the best
Wizard
actor is the guy who played the wizard in The Wizard of Oz, because obviously he's the lead.
Yeah, and he's what, a minute on screen? That makes no sense whatsoever.
The same with Mad Max.
Yeah,
you know, I think it should be based.
The lead.
Yeah, and I think it should be based on your time on screen. Like, I've actually seen actors win Best Supporting Actor when I watched the film. I'm like, you were in that movie for 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I mean, you were great in that
matter.
5 minutes, but you get an award for showing up for 2 days on the set. I don't know. I don't think so.
And it's two things too. Like, I mean, she's also there. Like, I mean, Cate Blanchett has a lot of screen time too. But like I say, it feels mostly Rooney Mara is mostly the lead. But the other part of it too is it is a love story between the two of them. So like you have best actor and best actress can be the two leads in a film. I think these are two female leads in a film.
Yeah, and let's face it, when you're casting somebody like Cate Blanchett, you know, you're casting her to be the seller for that film. I mean, it's going to be her selling that film over Rooney Mara.
And she's wonderful at it, but they're both leads.
Yeah.
They're not, one of them isn't supporting.
Yeah. So you both were going for Rooney Mara?
Yeah, I like her.
This one is an interesting category. Best Supporting Actor. So we have Christian Bale for The Big Short, and Tom Hardy for The Revenant, Mark Ruffalo for Spotlight, and I did see the trailer for this, and he is really great.
Yes.
Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies, and Sylvester Stallone for Creed.
Has he ever won a Best Actor? I know he's got like screenwriting.
He's
and
been
director.
nominated for... I don't know. Has he actually ever won?
Maybe not.
But he's
Rocky,
been nominated...
What did he win? He won screenplay? No.
I think so.
I didn't... Because, we did lots of research for this podcast.
Because I know Rocky's like...
Yeah,
his
Rocky
thing.
was the big one for him. But he's been nominated a lot. Well, not a lot, but he's been nominated
Not for acting.
more than we would think for
Well, no.
Sylvester Stallone.
There was the one acting the Copland.
Copland's
he was up for. I think he was up for First Blood. If not, he should have been.
I don't remember that.
So I'll just touch on this very briefly. I know that there's like the Oscar controversy over Creed because Sylvester Stallone was nominated for Best Actor in a Supporting Role and the lead guy wasn't nominated.
Yeah.
And I
didn't see the movie, but here's my thought on that. Maybe he wasn't great.
Maybe
he just wasn't great. And maybe Stallone was excellent as a supporting character.
Now, the director from that movie also wasn't nominated, and I think probably he should have been, because part of being a director is pulling out a great performance. He
Yeah.
obviously could do that with somebody like Stallone, who we all have a certain view of what kind of actor he is in our mind.
I think he's an excellent actor.
And I do think he's an excellent actor.
But see, pulling out a
with
good
things like
performance is
Copland.
the job of the director.
It is, absolutely.
be a directing
That's how Halle
award.
Berry got one, because let's face it, she's not that good.
That's why I feel like perhaps, other than whatever contrived racial motivation, and maybe that exists, I don't know, that maybe that's why the lead in Creed didn't get nominated, because he wasn't exceptional.
But why didn't Idris Elba and Beasts of No Nation?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean...
Because trust me,
we're not saying these people
Michael
aren't deserving.
Fassbender and Steve Jobs, I'm sorry, you can't keep shitting out Steve Jobs biopics hoping we give a shit.
One day.
Yeah, and I don't think
And again, it's an
I don't think they will now.
It's a fucking impersonation, and it shouldn't be on there. Michael Fassbender should have been fucking dished from that category.
Fassbender is well deserving an Oscar. It's not.
It's not for that.
Not for this.
No, he should have been. That should have been turf.
But we're not on that category.
So
No, I'd like to see Stallone win this, because I think Stallone deserves an award.
Me too.
Maybe not specifically for this, but I feel like he deserves it.
And I think that's why they will give it to him. I think this will be
if he doesn't
a bit of a political
I'm going
move.
to toss it at Mark Ruffalo just because he's awesome.
Yeah,
and he probably deserves one too.
Yeah, he's my second pick on this one. I think it will be Stallone, and it's not specifically. I think a lot of it will be based on Creed, but from other roles that he didn't win on Copland and Rocky, and I think it is a bit of a body of work award as well. And there's the little political factor of that Creed got snubbed in other categories.
I'm doing something where I'm putting Mark Rylance because they're trying to not offend anybody. I'm doing a political one where they're just trying to cover their asses.
Why? Who's Mark Rylance? I don't even know who
He's
that is.
Bridge of Spies.
Okay.
I'm guessing they're going to just try and fucking ignore it.
Well, I mean, it's Spielberg, so I mean, I'm sure it's an exceptional film. So
No,
it's
but
the one
I think
least
they're
about,
going to
but-
try and do that because that's
Yeah.
the least offensive winner.
Okay.
I
I'm kind of going with Sly on this one because he's already won awards for this particular role as well, so he seems to be the front runner in my mind. But yeah, that's going to be a very interesting category to follow. Let's go into lead actress, and we got Cate Blanchett for Carol, and we talked about the reasonings of whether she is or isn't.
I know.
Brie Larson for The Room, Jennifer Lawrence for Joy, and man, she's always in here now. Like she's
and I think from what I've heard about Joy, it's not. That's another one. It's not the best performance, but it's a Kate Winslet thing. They're just throwing it at her because like, oh, we haven't given her one this year. I guess we should, regardless of
I don't think she'll win because she has got one now.
I think her performance in Hunger Games was better than Joy.
Okay, fair enough. Charlotte Rampling for 45 years and Saoirse Ronan.
Saoirse Ronan.
Sure, okay. That girl.
I've been told it's Saoirse like inertia.
And I think she is a great actress, and she's up for Brooklyn, but never go against Cate Blanchett. She is the really standout actress on this list.
But I put down Saoirse Ronan because I
amazing.
thought, again, least offensive winner.
Okay, all right. No, I think
maybe.
I think it'll be Kate.
I was thinking maybe Jennifer Lawrence, but the whole concept of that Joy movie looks terrible.
She's already won. They're not going to give it to her.
Oh, she already won? Okay.
If it's not good enough and she's already won one, she's in there to pad it out. She's not there to get,
Yeah.
like it or not.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I look at that list and I'm like, great actor. There's good actresses and great actresses, and the only great actress on that list is Cate Blanchett.
And see, putting it here, I would have wanted Rooney Mara to be in there, and I would have said yes.
Yeah, I don't think anybody would argue with that as well. But, it's actors and there's only one lead. Who's selling the movie? And let's get to Best Actor in a Leading Role. We've got Bryan Cranston in Trumbo, which I'm really happy to see him on a Best Picture, a Best Lead Role.
I love him, but you're impersonating a person, and that drives me crazy.
Okay, no, fair enough. I don't think he'll win, but it's great to see him on this list.
I know, yeah, he should be.
Post Breaking Bad, so fantastic.
He is really a brilliant actor. I believe that.
Matt Damon for The Martian, Leonardo DiCaprio for The Revenant, nominated often, never won. Michael Fassbender,
always the bridesmaid.
That's
the
right.
bride.
Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs as Steve Jobs, and Eddie Redmayne for The Danish Girl. Amazing list of actors here, and I mainly went with Damon for fronting a movie where he had to carry the movie on his shoulders. He was the only guy in this majority of this movie, so that alone is a tough thing to do.
Yeah,
I'm not sure if he's deserving for it. It might be Leo's year because God knows he's been nominated
Leo
enough.
Won't win. He'll get a director or something one day, but he won't get actor. I went with Damon as well, mostly because I've seen The Martian and none of these other movies, but I was really super impressed with him in that movie. Like, he was funny, and he was, good dramatically, and, he did carry that whole movie for 2 hours by himself. Now, does that mean he's the best actor? Well, he was the only actor. So, by default, I guess he was the best actor in that movie, but is it because...
But is it a quantity versus quality type of deal?
Is it because... And I feel this way with Natalie Portman, and she won or was nominated for Black Swan, right?
Mm-hmm.
See, but I feel that was a legitimately good performance.
See, I don't, and this is why. Matt Damon is typically terrible. So when he has a good movie, you think it's great. Wow, he really impressed me because he's normally really shitty. Mm-hmm. Now, Natalie Portman, since The Professional, has not been stellar. She's pretty flat. And then she shows 3 emotions as opposed to the 0 emotions she's shown us in her last 5 pictures, and she wins an award for Black Swan, which was a terrible movie. And I
love that movie.
I'm calling Aronofsky out right now. You, me, celebrity boxing match for that movie. And halfway through, they're going to glue feathers to you.
I'll ref it because, and then I'll sway it in Darren's favor because I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I know.
Not a fan.
You can ref it, and I'll be one going oh, no, Jeff McNair has gone, oh, he's gone down, oh, he's gone down, no, wait, no, that was the person he imagined was him. Aronofsky has apparently wrote a script for this boxing match. What's happened?
I hope at least halfway through,
no, we've gone meta.
Mila Kunis, at least. Jesus.
Well, that's the funny thing, too, with any sort of movies, they get really upset with, ratings if, it's a guy going down on a girl, but if it's a girl going down on a girl, they're like, Oscar.
Well, I just hated, even that part of that, I just hated that whole movie, and I thought that she was terrible in it, and that she only won. If that's the
quality of what gets an Oscar, I've seen many of them.
I know,
right? Best Director, now we're getting to...
Oh, wait, I went with Leo, actually, because I feel, again, politically, I'm doing it. Yeah. I'm just doing it politically. It doesn't mean it's his best performance.
Fair enough. So we got 2 Damons and a Leo.
2 Damons and a Leo. Nice.
Thank you. Best Director, and this is where I feel some snubs are in, because especially when you have a Best Picture category with 8 to 10 nominations, but a Best Director category with only 5, I feel like you're automatically eliminating some of those off the Best Picture list, because when have we ever seen somebody up for Best Director and then a Best Picture that doesn't have Best Director up win?
Yeah. Well, what was
Argo
Titanic?
might have been the only one.
Yeah. Well,
That was a
Titanic
big
had
surprise.
Cameron and itself.
Yeah, and he won both categories.
Yeah.
So it's fairly rare.
I don't want to give it to George Miller just because, but I'm not saying that he won't get one of those lifetime-y type bullshit
Yeah.
ones.
I'm thinking it might be a bullshit.
And I
lifetime.
think it will be. I think it'll be George Miller, but we also got Tom McCarthy for Spotlight, and just a sec, my iPad turned off. Adam
the Revenant
Adam
guy.
McKay for The Big Shorts, Alejandro Inarritu, The Revenant, and Lenny Abrahamson for Room.
Lenny Abrahamson The Room is, I don't know, has he won before?
I don't think so. I don't
If
think
he's the
ever
newbie,
been...
I'm guessing no. I've never seen
Yeah.
a
The
newbie go.
Revenant guy won last year,
So he's not going
and
to
it
be
went
it.
to his head, and he's a douche now. So maybe.
Yeah.
It's not going to be him.
Yeah, I'm leaning towards the political George Miller thing, for thinking about Mad Max, and I've said this many times, for what he's trying to achieve, it's really a perfect movie.
Yes.
Like I said, it should never going to be best screenplay or something like that.
And the whole thing too, like direction, he got some pretty good performances, and like he was covering a lot of stuff. He directed some great action sequences. The direction of it is really good.
Yeah. I think he spent a good decade of his life trying to get this thing off the ground and figuring it out, and you look at everything that's going on with those guys on poles while driving, and
For
people
sure.
jumping on cars, and the chaos of it all, while it's still crisp and clear in this really interesting world.
And to be figuring it out, like he figured out how to make your perspectives the right person in that movie.
Yeah.
Like by switching it up to like being mainly Furiosa and the quote unquote brides, he figured out the key to that film. And that was like a good director's choice. And he made that very strong. Like that was the key to that movie.
Yeah.
Any other director who couldn't figure that out or couldn't see past some of the other stuff that they thought about Mad Max wouldn't have done a good job with that movie.
Yeah. Now, Creed was a movie where I think Ryan Coogler should have probably been nominated for this category,
sure.
for just what he achieved and reviving the Rocky franchise, being able to pull out an amazing performance by Sylvester Stallone, create essentially a new legacy with a new character in this world of
Yes.
Rocky that we all give a shit about.
Yes.
I know he's still a young director, but I think Ryan Coogler definitely deserved to be in this category, and this is where I think maybe snubs might. I don't think it's a deliberate snub.
Yeah.
It's a case of limiting yourself to 5, and I think Coogler should have been in here for Creed for sure, and I think it should have been up for Best Picture as well, but it wasn't. It is what it is, but at least Hollywood's noticed. He's Marvel snapped him up to do Black Panther, so
Oh, sweet.
that's great. At the same time, I'm like, well, I guess we're not getting another Creed for a while, and I think I'd rather see him doing more movies like that rather than Black
Yeah.
Panther. But at the same time, if somebody's going to handle Black Panther properly, it's this guy.
I think with some of them too, like there's a lot of good directors out right now. Like you say, limiting it to 5. You're gonna get the arty guys on this list.
Mm-hmm.
You're not actually gonna get the best directors in the directing category for the Academy Awards. You're just not, because they are going out to Marvel and they are going out to like these big action set piece movies, but they're good directors. Give them a smaller budget and a smaller story, they will do an amazing job.
Yeah.
It's until you plop them in an art house one, they're not going to get in this category.
Well, and then the case of sometimes snapping them up when they're a little too young and too raw. We saw what happened with the Fantastic Four movie.
True.
Here's a great indie young director who fell into the machine and kind of got bullied by Fox into doing a movie that they weren't really ready to do. They were just doing to hold on to the rights. And it was a disaster for everybody involved.
He'll never work again.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that.
He's got an uphill battle. He's probably going to be back in the indie scene, and he's
Yes.
going to have a tough go of it for a while. And I feel really bad for the guy. But and he lost a Star Wars gig over Fantastic Four.
Oh, crazy.
And it's a shame. That's
'Cause
a
it's huge.
terrible shame. That's
Like-
a huge blow to this guy, and we're probably going to be pretty quiet with him for a while. And I, if you're listening to my podcast, don't give up. Like, don't give up.
And it goes down to these politics too. You get these guys
Yeah.
who are equipped to handle like a big budget and a big thing, but they're
Yeah.
like, no, I want to do my Oscar bait. I want my little golden statue.
Yeah.
And it's not. They can do it, but they're just not doing
pounds,
it.
By the way,
Yeah,
There's
you
gotta
could
be a
do
little
a
jar
couple
to
of
grab it.
curls with that
Yeah,
every
that's right.
day.
Is that how much that thing weighs?
8.5 pounds. Yeah.
It's made out of children's tears, or
And Britannia,
Yeah,
or whatever, however you say it. But
it's filled with the souls of
then-
people who died to make. These
I was
things
looking
happen.
it up, and I'm like, I was going to tell everybody, and I'm like, it's so boring. But it's plated in 24 karat gold and all that.
Wow.
So, but yeah, it's
Isn't
There's
it something too? You don't really
There
own
were
it.
the 3 years during World War II. They do, but if
You have to pay for it or save.
no, if you
Something
want
weird about
if you
that.
want to sell it, you have to offer to the Academy first
Yes,
for
that's it.
$1.
Yeah, you don't. They get right of first refusal.
Yeah, and it's a signature. And if you don't sign to do that, then you don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think you get it as an honorary thing, but you don't have one in your living room.
Yeah, you don't get to put it in your
Yeah.
bathroom. like a lot of people
They
do.
did make an exception. One guy sold his for $60,000 to fund his wife's surgery or something like that.
no saying no to that, I guess.
Yeah, so yeah, that would just been bad politics, and I do believe, I think it was Wells. His family sold off his, and they said they couldn't find any proof that he had signed that little piece of paper to sell it back to the Academy for $1, and that thing went for over $800,000.
Yeah, I could see that.
Yeah, but those are the only real cases of an Oscar being sold that didn't go back to the Academy. Even ones that have been bought privately wound up going back to the Academy. So
They call it in for a buck.
yeah, call it in for $1.
Well, I was thinking of the directing category, like, it is kind of dumb that they only picked 5, and I don't know why they decided that was the number that they had to do, but, like, the problem is if you expand it to 10 or whatever, then, like, okay, this year, like, some really deserving people maybe got missed, but next year it could be full of, like, padded bullshit directors, and, with so many people moving over to, like, big studio pictures sometimes can get a little snubbed.
Yeah.
As far as like winning awards and things, so I don't know. It's like a fine line, but
Yeah.
I don't know. Directing is important. That's like the most. I think that's the most important job in the movie.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you're handling. You're essentially the guy with all the brushes for the on the canvas. So, you're setting up the camera shots and everything else. You're doing all that planning of how that visually is going to look. So, and coordinating with all those people helping paint that canvas. So,
Well, exactly, and I mean, you
Yeah.
have to know where that canvas begins and ends. Like,
Yeah.
you need to have a clear vision, and if your vision isn't there, so I get that. And then, you see George Miller on here, and he's like, well, my vision is they start in the desert in some cars and end in the desert in some cars. It's like, well, perfect. You tied this together well, my friend.
yeah. So, moving on to Best Picture category, and, with the huge list, like an eight category list, and it's still not long enough, I think, for in some people's minds, because Compton's not in there, and Creed's not in there, but still a really amazing list of movies. And
It is, but do you find now that
I think maybe Mad Max shouldn't be here.
it shouldn't. It's not
Yeah.
a Best Picture movie for
No.
sure. Do you notice? I'm sure you notice in all of these categories, it's the same 5 or 6 movies.
Yes,
Yeah.
but there's no variety.
Like Best Picture, The Big Short, and then there's like it's in actor and supporting role, and it's in all these other friggin' categories. Now
Yeah.
I'm going back to look, right, directing category.
Yeah, so I mean, sometimes I think as you could
Filming.
pull out a great performance as a director, but doesn't always make the best picture. And we have seen that
Yeah.
in the past. And sometimes a great performance in a film doesn't always make a great picture. You just were great in that part.
Yeah.
And that's how you should be judged.
Like, I feel that's the Bryan Cranston one. Like, this is not Best Picture, but you don't see it occur anywhere
Yeah.
else. I feel it's because it was just such an incredible performance. It's enough to be noticeable without the context of the film.
Yeah, which maybe is the case.
Yeah. Okay, so the best pictures up in this category are The Big Short, Bridge of Spies, Brooklyn, Mad Max Fury Road, The Martian, The Revenant, Room, and Spotlight. And I kind of went with the obvious choice on this one, and I went with The Revenant, although I really don't want it to win.
I really like The Martian. Out of these ones, I'm going to say The Martian.
Okay.
Out of the two I've seen.
Right. Yeah, I mean, this was a tough decision on my part to make. Part of me feels like a message from Hollywood might be sent to this director, and by losing the director category, the message might get sent while still saying you made a great movie, because he went horribly over budget. He treated the crew badly, from my understanding, although people I know who worked on that set, some didn't have anything to say about that. So
could all just be bullshit.
Yeah, and it could all be bullshit, so I'm not going to make any judgments on that. But I will make judgments on, and I think the message will be sent. He went retardedly over schedule and over budget, and that is a big no-no in Hollywood, especially on a studio picture. So
you go over budget when there's 8 guys running in the woods.
Yeah, well, it's because he's an artisan.
Because he wanted it specifically filmed a certain way. You have to have the right light, but when you're filming outside, you can't get the right light.
So lots of hurry up and wait.
It'd be like, we need the light between 3 and 3:15 p.m. in Alberta.
Yeah, so I don't know. I feel like maybe a message might get sent on this one that you can't pull this bullshit. and
I'm pretty sure
that is kind of pretentious garbage in my mind as well. But yeah, it's a nice looking movie, so I'm gonna go with The Revenant, even though I really don't want it to win, and I don't think it should win. I really do feel like a message should be sent on this one, because it is still a business at the end of the day, and that's something you do as an independent, not in a studio setting. And
for sure,
when you're dealing with studio settings and an academy that is like this, it could go either way. It is a nice movie, but do you reward a guy for going over budget, over everything else? And, is it worth the cost of having the prestige of a Best Picture? I don't know. It's a weird topic in my head and controversial one.
Yeah, so I would think it would send a weird message.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you just keep pushing, no matter what the studio says, you'll get it.
Yeah. So I don't know. What are you guys' choices for this? Jeff had Martian.
Mm-hmm. This was my hardest one, because this is the one I always struggle with Best Picture, because I'm I'm trying to figure out what they would want to have as Best Picture, but I'm also kind of like, what I'd like to have, or what I think, because I thought maybe they might go with Brooklyn, because sometimes I like kind of half-assing it, but I'm I kind of
that did look good.
Yeah, it does look good. It looks like it's Oscar bait. It's their exact type of thing.
Honestly, I think the one that could maybe win that category that we're not expecting is The Big Short. Yeah,
it's either The Big Short or The Martian. Those are, I got two choices. It's one of those two.
Okay, well, you guys can always be part of the conversation. You can join us over on Twitter at Invasion Remake, and of course Facebook, Invasion of the Remake at Facebook, and Invasion of the Remake at gmail.com if you want to email us. And of course, tell 5-10 friends about us. Just spread the word. That's help us grow as a podcast and get us higher on those lists. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, tell us do the Oscar thing, and go what's our best podcast? What's our best podcast about a horror movie?
Yeah, sure. As we close out this podcast, I do want to get into something that our audience will be really into when you're doing your home Oscar parties, and we're going to do the drinking game. I know we're running a little long, but it's the Oscars, and go with it.
Yeah, this actually totally fits.
So if you guys do follow some of these rules, drink responsibly. If you're doing it, don't drive, all that stuff. You guys are smart cats out there, so do it reasonably. If you are driving home after an Oscar party or whatever, do not partake in these rules.
Yeah. Or, just, have an Oscar sleepover. It's going to be a long time. Have Oscar everybody bring their sleepers.
Yeah.
And, just their sleeping bags. Yeah. No, I'm talking an innocent one with sleeping bags. Bring your stuffed animals and your sleeping bags and your footy pajamas, and just sit and drink and watch movies.
Okay,
my stuff, Leonardo.
Please add as you would like to this list. I know you guys didn't really have hard and fast rules, but
are we publishing it on our Facebook?
Oh, we might actually. I might put this
just
later.
Just post it there, and then people can follow along.
Post this on Facebook.
Too.
Yeah. So, what I came up with prior to this podcast, if you are the type of people who like to watch the red carpet, anytime somebody says, "Who are you wearing?" just take a drink.
A
Now,
tiny drink.
yeah, because this could get you wrecked before the show. So I'm warning you now. If you're doing the red carpet, you might want to do that one lightly.
Yes.
That's why I kept it down to 1. Because
Yeah.
that just could wreck somebody immediately.
Or if you're doing red carpet, how are you doing tonight? Are you excited? Don't even drink. Just watch that because
Yeah.
you'll never make it.
Okay, anytime Chris Rock tells a white man joke, especially in this year of the Oscars, take a drink. And I kept it down to 1 because I think it'll be plentiful.
Oh, hell yeah.
Anytime somebody makes a political statement, whether it's a joke or in their acceptance speech or whatever, this is a political year. We're going to get a lot of this, people. Trump or Bernie Sanders or Hillary Clinton, whatever. If this comes up, take 2 drinks.
So every time Chris Rock makes a Trump joke, how many drinks should that be?
Oh,
That would be
do we
2,
add
I
them
guess.
together?
I don't know. That should probably be 1 for the Trump and then 2 for a political statement.
Okay.
Because, Chris Rock's going to make a lot of Trump jokes, I'm guessing.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm thinking
Unless Trump's
so.
there.
Oh,
It's
God,
like a
no.
big ruler
Yeah,
waiting.
I don't know. So, okay, moving on.
They should ask him on the red carpet, on your head, what the fuck are you wearing?
Who are you wearing?
Anytime you see side boob, take a drink because everybody wins.
There's always side boob.
Anytime you see either a nip slip or visible nipple through the clothing, take 3 because you're really winning.
Is that really, are you really winning when you see nipples through a woman's shirt?
He didn't specify woman's.
I didn't say.
Oh, true. I'm the sexist one now.
Yeah. What did I?
Shame on me.
Yeah. Jeez.
Thank God,
Trish.
thank God you guys are here. Sorry, I'm just wondering about nipples and men. Nipples on men for me, they're fine. I'm just not
Okay.
looking for them.
Fair enough. That's fair.
That was just my question for you
Christian
guys.
Bale might have a mesh shirt. We don't know.
If
Ooh, I would watch that.
see, if somebody has brought their
'Cause that's gotta
parents
be
as
entertaining.
guests, drink 2. Take 2 drinks. Take 2 sips, whatever. If they thank their parents, take 2 drinks because let's face it, they had the good sense to have unprotected sex and give birth to you.
And quite frankly, their parents have probably gone through a lot.
Yeah, yeah. If they
A lot
mention
of disappointment.
if they
Yeah.
mention their kids in their acceptance speech because they had unprotected sex, just take 1 because they're little.
You see, I figured that should be 3 drinks because I don't remember the last time I heard anybody mention their kids.
If any of you drink so much you have unprotected
I remember
sex,
a bunch
take an
of
additional
parents.
drink.
I'd like to thank my mom and dad, but I remember very little Oscar
It's
speeches.
not thanking for their kids.
Just mentions them.
No, just
Just mention
mention.
them.
No, but I remember a lot. Think of your Oscar speeches. I remember a lot of mom and dads, not many
I don't.
kids.
I haven't made one yet, so I'll.
No, but over the course of years, remember.
Okay, we'll bump it up to 3. Sorry,
Thank you.
guys. And also 3 if you thank God. That one came from my boss over at Words and Pictures.
Nice.
If Sean Penn looks visibly angry in the audience for any reason, take 3.
Fuck that guy.
Sean Penn may be the reason you're so wrecked.
If a musical number happens or just breaks out on stage for any reason, just during a presentation and somebody starts singing, take a drink.
Nice.
And I kept it low because it's probably
Yes.
going to happen often because it's the fucking Oscars. If John Travolta mispronounces a name or awkwardly touches another presenter, take 3 drinks.
Is he supposed to be presenting at this? Who knows? I guess.
I
don't
don't
know.
know, but it's become a bit of a
Although
thing.
there is a thing with him on the red carpet grabbing Scarlett Johansson. So if you extend it to the red carpet, he'll probably be grabbing.
I
somebody
will, yeah, let's
inappropriately.
extend it to the red carpet rules as well.
For sure.
If somebody swears during their acceptance speech, take 2.
Nice.
If you as a viewer are getting emotional about what you're watching or are tearing up out of sheer boredom, take 3.
Or you're so drunk you're just crying. What have I done?
Yeah, again, take 3. Take 3. If somebody in the audience is visibly angry or upset that they lost, take 2 drinks.
Take
If
4 if it's Leonardo DiCaprio.
if there is
Yeah.
if there's a surprise upset win in a category, take 3. Now,
How will you know?
That's what I'm wondering.
Will everybody be like, boo?
that's your own judgment.
Like, would that
use that on your own judgment.
happen? I don't know.
Okay, yeah, I guess if you're not drinking enough, you're like, oh, surprise upset.
Like in the Michael Moore piece where everybody cheered him as he went on stage and then booed him as he went off. If Sly Stallone actually wins, and you understand his speech, you chug your drink because you've been cheating this whole time.
Yes.
All right? Because, yeah, you... or either that or you're drunk enough to understand it, so I don't know. But you should chug it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. I thank God in my kids.
Well, remember, we discussed this too. Anytime any presenter makes like kind of a slurred speech, like they're A, they've taken some drugs, or B, they're a little too drunk to be presenting, take 2 drinks.
There you go. For sure.
I like it.
If Kanye West is actually there and it looks like he's getting out of his chair or coming to the stage for any reason whatsoever, chug your drink. Because you probably don't want to hear what he's got to say anyway.
No.
And that's,
why is he there?
Anybody else? That's all I kind of really had down. I think that's enough to completely wreck you. But if anybody's got anything to add, go right ahead. And again, drink responsibly. You know, it should be fun. So
yeah, I'll give it some more thought. Like, there's got to be more red carpet ones. Like, for every instance you feel of like.
Oh, anytime somebody stumbles on the red carpet,
you get a few drinks. Anytime you feel a woman is just literally just taped into her dress, take 3 drinks. Again, because everybody wins, and of course this whole thing is about drinking, because nobody's a loser in that regard unless you have drank yourself to death, literally. Yeah, sorry, dude. Well,
that's why we say drink responsibly. If you're falling down somewhere in the first quarter of this thing, just stop. Because that's it.
Yeah, like I feel if you're like really hammered during like sound mixing, we know that's one of the first categories.
Oh, I thought it was drink mixing. Oh.
If you're hammered during sound
favorite
mixing, you've been drinking too fast.
All right, guys. Again, enjoy the Oscars. We will see you next week with a remake. I am Jason.
I'm Trish.
And I'm Jeff, just to mix it up.
Nice.
Best mix-up to Jeff.
Yep.
And we'd like to thank you, our audience, and all the people who supported us through all these years. Well, I don't want to go.
Shut up, get off the stage. We're going long.
Yes.
And, of course, we're out of here.